What's up? We are off the muting button. At least I am. Derek is not. There he is. There you go. How's it going, man? Good to see you. Right. Thank you for being here, man.
Oh, thanks to Vivian for the welcome. I appreciate it.
Oh, Vivian's in there? Oh, why would I? Well, I don't know why I'm surprised, Vivian. I'm sorry for being surprised. You're usually there. But yeah, hi, honey. Thank you for the support, as always. Let's see who else is here real quick. We'll say might as well jump in, save some time, and see who dropped in to hang out with us. Hydra was here early, saw that. I think you preemptive like, and I appreciate that, Hydra, but I think that also kind of means you've taken off. Anyways, I guess we'll see soon enough. And of course, Mr. Red Jack, Brian, I know that you're working, so no worries. Thank you. And then I hope you enjoyed on Rewind. And thank you, by the way, for always catching it on Rewind when you can't be here anymore. So of course, Hart, what's up? Enjoy Japan. And hope you're enjoying it. And of course, Sean, very early, but are you still here? That's what I'm wondering. Thought you'd get a jump on tonight's feedback and say it was a great show. I appreciate it. Yeah, in advance. That's awesome. And what's up, Tom? What up? What up with you?
What up, Tom?
Great long weekend of great shows. Happy you've had a great weekend. A couple of great gets at the con. Tom, you know I always say this when people do that in the chat. You know I hate it. Like, why do I have to tell you? Why would you tease us and not tell us what you got? Why wouldn't you just say, "Oh, I got some great shit, guys"? Like, of course we're gonna be wondering, well, what great shit did you get? How about telling us?
Maybe he's superstitious. Maybe he wants to wait until it actually gets delivered before he starts screaming to the rafters about all the great shit he got, and then it gets
I understand.
Destroyed in the mail, and then
I do get that. But then I don't know. It just seems like a tease. How about not teasing if you're not going to be willing to share?
That's fair. That's fair.
But
don't brag until you get it if you're nervous about it.
Yeah.
And if you do, maybe give Ruben a hint about what it is.
Yeah. There you go. That's fair enough. There you go, Tom. But no, I congrats on finding some pieces you like. That's what's fun about it. And for those of you who were there selling, a lot of you were trying to sell. I hope you guys did well. Hopefully you guys will tell us. So what's up, Peter? Good evening to you. Good to see you. And I think Hart is not here anymore. So I don't think he's there for fun, actually, though. I can answer for him, Peter. He's there for fun with his wife for 3 weeks. So nice vacay.
Cool.
And Marcus, what's up, Marcus? Says hello with a yay. That's kind of odd from you. I don't know what that's all about. You must be excited from the weekend as well. I don't know. Let us know. Rickster, what's up? Good evening to you. CJ, evening. We'll try to hang if my piece of shit computer will allow. New one coming in the morning. Wow. Good timing. I appreciate that. I like the effort. Thank you. Oh, you're back. Got to run. Oh, now you're leaving again. Visiting museums and temples in Kyoto. Okay. Enjoy the Thank you. Appreciate it, man. That was 5 minutes ago, so you're already gone. Okay. And how many things did Ruben buy? Well, Marcus, since you never seem to want to tell us what you bought first and then ask everybody what they bought, I don't mind telling you. I'll play your game.
Can I guess what you bought?
Of course you can. I think I know what you're going to say, but go ahead.
Did you get those the secret origins pages with typos on them?
Not only did I guess correctly as to what you were going to say, Derek, you are also correct in that I did get those. Yes. Yeah. But to be fair, because
those are good pages. Those are really good.
I thought they were fun. Now, full disclosure.
It's Mud-Pack. I love Mud-Pack. It's great.
Yeah. Full disclosure, though, I will say, I can't give credit to Kath Khan for getting me those pages. So, as you probably noticed, it was Dan who was selling them.
Yeah.
Dan had reached out to me a week ago to ask me to help him, give him an idea of what they were worth. And right, so I said, well, it's kind of a little bit esoteric. And it's not I remember the issue. I remember particularly one of the pages where the guards are walking through Arkham and they're peeking,
through the holes and everybody, the Joker
right,
and Two-Face.
Joker, there's Two-Face, whatever. So and I remember that clearly, and I thought, okay, you know what, for fun, I'd buy that. I mean, assuming that it's not too much money, but the thing is, when people reach out to me and asking me to help them price stuff by Grummett that they want to sell, if I have any interest in it whatsoever, I feel like, well, I'm biased now, so I'd rather not kind of tell you what I think, and that's what I told Dan. I basically said, look, I said for me, these are like squirrels, Grummett squirrels. I don't need to have this stuff, okay? I go, I might buy one of the pages. This one page, I'd like it, but again, I think I'd rather wait until you just come up with your pricing, put them up for sale, and I'll fairly try to either buy them or not when they're publicly posted, like along with everybody else. And he understood, and that's what he ultimately ended up doing. And the other reason is because, again, I just didn't think they were worth too much. But I always feel that people who reach out to me asking me about Grummett values, they always seem to tend to have an idea that the stuff is worth much more than I do, right? And being that I might have some interest, I don't want to be the guy who then says, well, I don't think it's worth that much, because then no matter what I say, they're going to think, I just feel like in the back of their minds, they're going to think, well, you're biased. Of course, you're going to say that, because if you have interest in it, you want to get it as cheaply as possible, So I figured I'd rather not give any undue influence and just let him put the prices, and I'll fairly fight it out with anybody if I have to, or just let him buy them. You know what I did learn this weekend? I learned that not only should I have Tom Grummett as a search listing in my want items list, but I should have Grummett with one T as a search item in my want list, because otherwise I would have missed some alerts. You mean you don't have him in the search alert? No, I do, but you have what I was saying. What I was saying is, if I just browsed for fun, which is what I did this weekend, I noticed, wait, that wasn't on my want list. And I was like, oh, the reason why is because it only had one T and not one T. And I was like, oh, well, okay, whatever. Yeah, got to get the double M and double T. Yeah, exactly. Oh, hey, Kavi, what's up, man? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Who else? Hi's back and forth. Of course, hello already to you. Capasso. What? Am I reading? What is that? Tom, what are you saying? Are you trying to speak Spanish and do the phonetic version of que pasa? Is that what you're trying to? I don't know what that is. Capasso. I don't know. Let me know. Hi, Kavi. Hi, Vivian. Sup, dudes? Corin Kaiser Stone. Newbie, right? Or is this your second time here? Man, all these weird names I have trouble always remembering. I think it's your first time. Tell us who you are. Do we know each other? Remind me, please. And John, look at that, right after Kavi. John's comments with kids. What's up? Hello to you. Rodney, hey, what's up, Mr. Instantly Film himself? What's up, what's up? John Brown, as always, good evening to you, sir. And hi, Peter. Hi, the ball. Hellos back and forth. Hey, Corey Rust, what's happening, man? Some great gets this weekend. I'll never tell. I'll never tell. I'm taking that, Marcus, as you got nothing. That's what I'm going to say. I'm guessing, but I don't know. You'll never tell, so we'll never know, I guess, Hi, what's up? What's up? The number one tease. Yes, Marvel fan. Still here, and also bought 5 pieces on Capcom. Okay, first time. Oh, your first time trying it after 10 events? Wow. And you're hooked. Every 6 months. Every 6 months, my friend. Yeah, so it's twice a year, every 6 months. So I guess the next one's in May, is it? Usually May. Yeah, November and May, so 6-7 months, whatever it is. Yeah. So there you go. 5 pieces, by the way. Congratulations, Sean. That's pretty cool. Not sure what took you so long to try it, but I'm sure many here got great pieces. I'm sure they did. It's just a question of will they let us know or just tease us and tell us, hey, I got great stuff. Kind of like you did. Following up with an online course on Dante's Inferno. Okay. What's up, Steve? And what's that? A leaf with a lemon? What does it look like to you? That looks like a leaf with some weird yellow thing next to the leaf. Not sure, but okay. Spring, I don't know. Fall time maybe is what you're trying to tell us. I don't know. Lion's doing good, my friend. What's up, Stanley? Lion's doing very good today. Hey, 52-6 today. I mean, yes, it was, they played the worst team in the league, but 52-6. Still very nice to see. Thank you. Next spring, Sean. I guess talking about spring, yeah. Physical therapy. I bought nothing except from the next comic art auction. Okay. Well, you got something then. Marcus, you sold stuff. I can't say I remember seeing you had a booth, so I think you're lying to us again. Anybody else remember Marcus having a booth? I didn't see it. I can say that for a fact. And I looked through the list twice. Ruben thought bought new. Nice one, Peter. I did not. And by the way, I think today those Newton pages are probably, higher than when they were last resold a couple years back. So good buys at those prices. I will say that. Got the Paulo Rivera Sentinel. Oh, you're letting us know. That's cool. And nice Avengers page and a nice Ron page. Cool. Congrats. 3 pieces. That's awesome. Good for you. Howdy, y'all. What's up, Ian?
Hey,
Hope you listen to in the background. That's busy tonight. No worries, man. No worries. Have a good night. And lies. You see? There you go. He's calling you a lie. He's calling you out too. Saw those secret origin pages and thought you may have claimed them. Yeah, there you go. Well, like I said, I can't give Capcom the credit for me finding those because I could have worked out a deal with Dan, a week earlier. So, but yeah, it was fun. It was fun 3 pages. And I am a sucker for. I always say I tend to be a sucker for sequences. If it's a cool sequence. So a 3-page consecutive sequence, I think that was pretty cool. So. Congrats, Ruben. Bought all of my Newton Batman. That went down in value.
Hey, Tony.
I am not at fault. Tony Jackson. Hey, Derek. Hope you're having fun. Also, we replaced you on the podcast.
I'm supposed to normally be recording tonight, but instead, right. I'm here to talk about art. So,
yeah. I appreciate that. But I think when I had asked you if you wanted to do it, I think you had told me that weekend. The reason you could do it tonight is because that weekend you already knew that you weren't going to be doing your podcast.
I made pre-arrangements to not be there tonight.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. Hey, Tony, sorry, dude. I had to borrow your boy. Once in a while, I need his help, man. What can I tell you? But I appreciate that. So, is Tony going on without you? Is that what they're still doing?
Yeah. They're recording something tonight. So, yeah, probably like in another, I don't know, hour and a half or something.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. And yeah, Sentinel's fab. Hello, hey, Maki Poo Poo. What's up, Michael? Good to see you. Marvel fan, talking to each other. Okay, I'll skip those so I can catch up. But Ruben, the appraisal wanderer. Agree, the Sentinels was best. I don't even know if I saw that.
This is true. Like everything was, well, not everything, but to use the Emperor, a great many things were misspelled. Like where you couldn't find stuff.
like Kirby,
yes.
Ditko. Yeah, Grummett.
There was a lot of stuff like that. People were not putting the want list. The sellers were not taking the want list to their full and utmost advantage, unfortunately.
Mike Grail, John Bine, Dave Mazzucchelli. I like that. Hey, Kenneth, what's up in Virginia? Good to see you. Good evening to you. Good day, David from Oz. What's up, David from Oz?
Hey, David.
Always gotta do this now from now on. The Brisbane Lions. Yeah. He sent me this, Derek. Yeah, he sent me this. So there you go. What's up? Ooh, I just heard. Did you hear? Was that you or me? Did you hear that?
It sounded like something was disconnecting.
Yeah, like something plugs out or plugs back in. Hopefully not me. As long as you can hear me, that's okay. John Bryan, hot. Good day, Derek. There you go. Ruben, the ball buster. Sometimes, but you give as good as you get. So I'm not concerned. I'll be driving quite a way past Orlando to start, then driving back. Okay. Mike Magnola. Okay, and we get the point, guys. Howard, shake and bake. I get it. I'm afraid that I cannot stay long. We'll catch up with the show on Rewind. Just dropping by the right of my leg and say hello. Thank you, Cab. Appreciate you as always. Thank you.
Thanks, Cab.
I secretly sold through my fake name, Sammy Tail Comic Art. Okay, gotcha. I didn't buy anything this weekend. I had some unexpected property taxes to pay. Yeah, Michael, I myself have to come up with a bunch of money for income taxes. And then to buy the car that I'm leasing because the lease is coming up and I think we want to buy it. And then some other stuff or whatever. I got to come up with tens of, whatever, a lot of money. So I'm trying to not buy shit. I shouldn't have bought the 3 pages from Dan, but I figured, okay, whatever. It's still relatively affordable stuff. It's not like multi-thousands of dollars. So I figured, what the heck,
I don't know that my willpower was strong, but I sort of was asleep this morning. So had I seen certain things by the time I actually bothered to look at them, I might have tried, but it was already on hold by the time I saw it. So man?
You mean the ones? But what are you talking about? Which ones are you talking about?
I was gonna say, did anybody here get that burn page from Superman 12? Because that was the only thing I saw where I was like, ooh, and then I was like, oh crap, it's on hold already.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you wouldn't have bought the pages that I got, right?
No.
Okay.
This morning there was somebody from the UK posted a page from Superman 12 that has like Lori Lamaris and Clark Kent on it or whatever, and I like that story, but it was already long on hold by the time I saw it. So I was just curious if anybody I know like got lucked out and got it or whatever.
Yeah, Covey's asking, have you ever done a vid tour of your shelves back there? Those are the DVDs, though, right?
Those are the DVDs. I mean, I don't know if I want to knock everything over, but let's see.
What's up, EC?
There's some posters and things like that in the back. And then I don't know. It's probably going to get messy the further I go, but let's see.
Excellent, Tony. Appreciate it. There you go. You're getting the vid tour just for you, Covey. Just for you. Job well done, Rickster. Helping out Sean. That's pretty cool. There you go, Covey. I hope you liked that. I hope you enjoyed it. All for you, man. All for you. You only window shop. The 20 pieces I followed, only one sold. Okay. Marcus Way. Wahahaha. Ruben goes over there. There you go. Exactly. Pleasure, Sean. Exactly. Thank you. You helped each other out. That's what the hobby should be about. So that's cool. Shout out for Derek Podcast in case others here don't know. Yeah. Derek would have done this at the end of the show, but just in case we sometimes forget, Derek does a podcast called the Fan Holes Podcast. You want to tell them a little bit about it?
Yeah. I mean, the easy thing is if you want to look us up, you could go to Podbean or type in Fan Holes Podcast on your podcatcher. But I mean, we talk about comics and, all kinds of stuff, films and tokusatsu, anime, whatever strikes our fancy. We've got a bunch of different shows and stuff. And if you want, I mean, if you guys like, I mean, I do have a YouTube channel. It's kind of woefully not updated, but most of it is based on a show I made called The History of Comics on Film. So you can check out at least the backlog of episodes. I haven't done a new one in a really long time, but there's, I don't know, like almost 70 something episodes. So there's plenty of content. And that's, if you type in History of Comics on Film, you'll probably find it. And my YouTube handle is just like here, it's Derek WC. So if you look up my videos, you'll see a bunch of stuff on there if you want. So
congrats, Peter. Yeah, I know. And also I want to say, I haven't done it often because because of all the other things that I watch and listen to, there's just not enough time in the day. But every now and then, when I do like paperwork or anything that I have to kind of look down at here while I'm sitting at my desk, there have been times where then I said, okay, what's something good I can listen to? And usually it's like on YouTube, but oftentimes I'm visual. I'm a very visual person, so I like to watch while I listen. But with a podcast like Derek's, what's great about it is that since there is it's audio only, it's not video. Yeah. It's perfect for those moments that I just described where, if you got work to do, you want to do stuff, but you want something else that you can listen to in the background and not have to worry like, I got to look up and see what they're talking about, because it's just audio. It's fantastic. It works good for that. And it's fun, these guys are a bunch of cut ups anyways, and they like to use interesting language sometimes. So, they're good fun dudes, and they talk about the shit that they like, and that's what makes it fun. So, and they're honest about it, about their feelings. So that's good. Oh, and I just FYI, the links to the link to the Fanholes podcast is down below here in the description. Cool. But also Derek's blog is also down below. The history of comics on film, is that how it's called?
Yeah. That's the show I do on my YouTube channel. But again, you can find it on my YouTube handle or whatever. It's just under Derek WC. So
yeah. So there you go. So both of those links are down below, everybody. So check that out, please. As well as his CAF gallery. So when you want to see larger images of what we're going to share tonight, go later and check him out on his gallery at full size. What's up, Tom? Good to see you, Chicago in the house. What's up? My buddy John C. Jello. What's up, man? What's up? That's a lot of CDs. See, honey, and you think I have a lot? You see what I mean? Exactly. I don't have a lot. Some people have way more than me. Oh,
that's what I'm good for. I'm good for making wives feel okay with their collection.
And there you go. Still waiting to hear back from someone. I put in a purchase request, but still nothing. Still listed for share. Yeah, you know what? You see, sometimes that's the problem with an online convention like this. A lot of the people, they kind of don't put thought into the fact that they should be very responsive to inquiries, and they just kind of put things up for sale, and then I'll just go to work, or I'll just go and do whatever on Saturday, and I'll take care of any emails later. Not the greatest thing, but it makes it kind of shitty for customers or potential customers. I don't think it happens a lot, thankfully, but yeah, it still does happen, and yeah, it does suck. So hopefully you hear from them soon, anyways. Thanos podcast.
I think he was confused with what it was called, but he can see the link down there.
Okay. And what's up? It's not your father's podcast. He sold it to us. Why do you think? Okay, you can talk amongst yourselves. Nice, Peter. Early MTU. Yeah. Picked up. What's up, Caesar? Good to see you, by the way. Picked up the Macklin Infinity Inc. 1. Oh, I didn't even notice that. There was an Infinity 1 cover recreation. Wow. Well, I look forward to when you post it in your gallery. And everybody, I haven't scheduled it yet, but Caesar has agreed to come back. We have a date in December, and he's going to come back like he did last December, and he's going to do an unboxing show where we spend the entire episode of him unboxing packages of art that he purchased that he's never opened.
Oh, that's right. He collects them all, right, and gets them shipped all at once. Is that the trick?
No. It's just that he gets them when they ship, when he buys them, but for whatever reason, he just doesn't feel the need to open them right away. So he just lets them pile up. He lets them pile up.
I don't think I could do that, man.
I know. That's what we talked about when he was on the show.
You can tell Vivian that's what I do with all of these. I still have a bunch of these in the shrink wrap. So if one of these is busted when I finally take it out of the shrink wrap, it's too late because I bought it 8 years ago or whatever. So
Ruben should be a guest for Derek. Well, if he ever needs a guest, about anything, not that given that my memory, you know, Stanley, how bad my memory is for remembering details of comics that I've read. I'd be a pretty useless guest to talk about certain comics. Either that, or I'd have to read it read whatever comic he wants to talk about hours before the show
I read the comics hours before we do a show.
Oh yeah, okay. So. Yeah, but that just helps you even more. You, without rereading them, you're like leagues beyond me, like, with your memory.
We could have a conversation about Absolute Superman. There's only one issue. If you finally read it, right? We could talk about that.
I don't know how happy that show would end up being, though, but or how up and I don't know. You never know. Yeah, well, we gotta see. Let me wait and see what I think about it first. Congrats to everybody. 3 pages. Okay, Fever. You can't trust the dollar and the streaming. The dollar and the streaming. I guess you're talking about the Tyson fight.
That's what it sounds like.
Wrapping up my second sale. What's up? Hey, congrats, Mike. Hey, you made it a couple of sales. That's good. Always 2 is better than none for sure. Gotta go, guys. Good night to you. Wow, that was early. All right, Corey. See you later, man. Every day is Christmas.
Thank you, Tony.
Just wanted to lend support. Derek is our resident art collector and swell guy. He didn't pay me to say that. That's very nice of you, Tony. Look at that. I need to know the piece is good to go. Yeah, no kidding. And that's what we talked about last year, right, Tom? You remember? I was like, if for no other reason than just to make sure that, people sent you what you bought, first of all.
Right.
And that it's in the condition you think it is, judging by the photo or scan, right? For that reason alone. But hey, whatever, man. I mean, to each their own. And if Caesar wants to keep him for years unopened, and he's willing to then have fun with us opening them on a stream, hey, it's good for everybody.
I don't remember buying this Powerpuff Girls page. How'd that get in there?
Yeah, that's what I'd probably be doing. Like, I don't remember half of this shit. Why do I have this stuff? That's so funny. Maybe Caesar wants to flip and doesn't want to repackage. Talk about the laziest flipper in the world, right? Like, I want to be a flipper, but I'm too lazy. I'll just keep it in the package and I'll just readdress it, to whenever I sell it. So funny. But all right, let's get into this, everybody. So Derek, when we did our episode of Hangout, which I forget what episode number that was, but quite a long time ago already. I do believe you gave your background a little bit about how you got into comics and art. Although most people have given me their sort of background story on their show and tell episode. Could we kind of find a nice medium? Would you mind skipping the getting into comics part, but just briefly telling us all about the discovering art, when it happened, how it happened, and just before we get into the showing of the art?
I mean, I'd say I've been collecting published pages now for the last 5 years, probably original art maybe for the last 6 years. I mean, you could probably extend it to like 2014 or 2015 through sheer happenstance or ignorance, like just, I would go to the big WoW shows, and things like that. And people would draw remarks when I asked for a signature or something like that. Right. It wasn't anything maybe I specifically requested, but in posting on CAF, there was this moment where I realized, oh yeah, I've got this little Kevin Eastman remark, and oh yeah, I've got this Mark Texeira remark, and oh yeah, I've got this Stan Sakai remark or whatever. So then, I would go back and like scan those and, stick them on CAF and put them in my little, label them remarks and that kind of thing. And some of those are much older than 5 or 6 years, but I'd say, probably, I went to a Heroes Con for the first time in 2017. I saw a lot of people getting sketches and getting commissions and things like that. So by, I think like 2018, when I went to the WonderCon that year, I got a free sketch from Dan Jurgens because I attended one of his panels. And basically, he liked the question I asked him about Doomsday or whatever, because he was having he was having a Q&A about Doomsday. Yeah. And I mean, the quick version of that story is my mom used to save like newspaper clippings and stuff. And so she saved like this kind of very I don't know, fake news, stilted version in this San Jose newspaper of like Doomsday's an escapee from an outer space lunatic asylum. This is like a bad portrayal of people with mental health issues or whatever.
God.
And that was the spin. And so I kind of asked him about that. I go, that's not true, is it? Right? Like that was just something that they got a quote from Mike Carlin and then wrote all this other stuff around it, right? And so he confirmed that and whatever, and it gave him a chance to go into like what their super summit and the sort of true origin of the whole story and everything. So because of that, he just really liked that question. And I think at the end of the panel, he's like, who asked that question? And I was like, I asked that question. And then it was like, he basically, he drew this really great, it's in my calf, but he drew this really, one of his kind of standard full figure images of Superman, and it was funny because it was either I go to a Transformers panel or I go to the Dan Jurgens panel, and then after I went to it and I won that piece of art, I was like, I guess I made the right choice because I got a free piece of art out of it. And then I think after that, I was kind of, I'd get a lot of at-home commissions during the pandemic, and then and then kind of streamlined from there. Like I think I bought my first piece of original art on eBay maybe that same year, thinking it was just going to be like a one and done thing, like, oh, I've never done this before, like that'll be cool. And I did it, and then it kind of built and built and built. I guess I have to give props to Simon, because he was the one who introduced me to CAF when I was getting a Mike Allred commission. So he was kind of like, have you ever heard of CAF? Like, and I was like, no, what is that? And so he introduced me to comic art fans. And then I think maybe, I don't know, a couple days later, I had posted like a bunch of my commissions and everything. And he was kind of like, holy shit, I didn't know you had that many commissions. I guess the rest is kind of history, but that's kind of like the short, sweet version of it, right?
Let's already tap into your knowledge here real quick, because number one Marvel fan Tom said, is there a female Doomsday? Not up on my DC stuff. And I said, not to my knowledge.
I don't know anything about that, if there is one.
Okay.
What I just told you was spoilers, but I was just telling Ruben, there's like a really the all-in Superman issue that came out has an interesting take on Doomsday, and I'll leave it at that. So, but yeah. So,
yeah. Thank you, CJ. Appreciate it. Yeah. Thanks. Everybody, if you're here and you're watching this, about 30 of you, if you don't mind, just hitting the thumbs up icon that's right here below where I'm pointing somewhere, I would appreciate that. Thank you so much. What was the first?
Should I wait to answer the question? I don't know if you're going to show it or not. But
well, no, that's okay, because if I show it, then when I show it, you'll say, "Oh,
that's the one."
That's the one.
The first thing I bought on eBay was a Dan Jurgens Justice League page, because it had the era of the team that had Maxima, and Maxima was fighting Starbreaker, but there's a nice shot of the entire team on the bottom panel, which I'm sure would be sold in some circles as a 1/16 splash or some dumb shit, but it's a panel page. And I really, really like that run of Justice League, even though most people don't. So,
Yeah. All right. Okay, sorry for the interrupting. Did you come to the end? Did you want to sort of wrap up what you were saying about your whole journey into starting art? I mean, you got the pieces you got on eBay.
I got some pieces.
It would be like a memento, right? Like thinking,
absolutely. I thought, I know Kavi's making fun of it now that we're all deep in the shit, right? Like now we're hardcore, published page collectors, and we certainly have more than one example. But yes, at the time, I think especially because it was during the pandemic, there was a urge to check a lot of things off my bucket list, and that maybe was one of those things. Like I said, I've never bought a published page of art before. Like let me check that off. Because that's kind of where my head was at back then. And then it did kind of dovetail into, oh well, I bought that one, and then I think it was Simon actually who pointed out like the second published page, because he's like, oh, because I posted all these Maxima commissions. He's like, "Oh, you clearly like Maxima. Did you see this?"
Which Simon are we talking about?
From Alred from Got Superpowers.
Oh, Simon. Oh, yeah.
So
Simon Miller.
Simon Miller. He always, I mean, I don't know. He was kind of like my, I was like a Padawan or something, and he was master or whatever. He would ping me every once in a while and say, "Hey, did you see this?" And I'd be like, "Oh no, I didn't. Thank you." And would bid on certain things or whatever. So and he was the one who, introduced me to comic art fans in the first place. Like I didn't know. I mean, I guess I kind of knew the site because I think sometimes I would do like research and look for images based on my research. And I remember I found a lot of, I think when I was doing my Shazam video and I wanted to talk about Mr. Atom, like there's not a whole lot of Mr. Atom art out there, but because Mr. Atom is featured on CAF, I remember getting directed to that site every once in a while. So, but I think I finally put everything together because it was like, I got that commission from Simon from Mike Allred and Laura Allred through Simon. And it was the Silver Surfer Batman, Surf's Up Batman. And, and that was, I don't know which CAF live event that was. I don't know if it was the second one or the third one, or, I don't think it was the first one, or maybe it was, I don't remember at this point, but basically he, Allred did one of those interviews with Bill, and then he did, hold that up when it was done. And he, I think Simon pointed out, oh, Mike Allred's going to be on the show, and, this and that. So I went and saw the YouTube video, but I don't think I had realized at that point, like, oh, this video is tied to that CAF website. And then maybe a little while after that, I kind of sort of put it all together, where I was like, oh, wait, this is the same, this is the same, I guess, organization, for lack of a better term, right? This is this is the same people putting out the same content and everything. So it all kind of, locked together for me, and I went, oh, okay, I get it now. Like, so, but that, it's like everybody else, right? It takes you a while to get accustomed to the community and the whole, the whole scene or whatever. So at that point I was NFG, guy, and I didn't quite know what was going on, or what, what the rules were and all that kind of stuff. So,
well, we got two ridiculous questions for you. But since I'm gonna pop the two ridiculous questions,
yes, I like DC Comics because my initials are DC. Let's just get that out.
Okay, let me get it.
That's absolutely why I like DC Comics.
Why else would that be? I mean, come on.
There's no other reason. I mean, clearly everyone else. I'm like, and then who's the guy with initials MC? Because that must be why they like Marvel Comics. Right?
Exactly. Well, here's stupid question number 2. Did you collect Maxima because you confused her with Wanda Maximoff?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay, good. And now, to sort of make up for the nonsense, let's put not a question, but a proper comment complimentary to you. Here we go from Cab. Cab came back. You are one of the few collectors to have a great DC as well as Marvel collection. Great balance in spite of your preference for DC.
Thanks, Cab. Yeah, I mean, I've tried. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like some Marvel stuff that I really love is maybe outside of my budget. But I mean, I've made an effort, at least, like a concerted effort, to be like, oh, what are some things that I truly love, and I don't know. Some people, some friends have said that to me before, like art collecting friends, just like Cab in their own way, have said, I respect your diversity, or your balance, like how he put it, like that kind of thing. So, I mean, I think that's deliberate. So I will say thank you. I appreciate that as a compliment.
No, it is a compliment. And, I agree. I tend to like that. I mean, listen, people are going to like what they're going to like. And I certainly don't have anything against any collector who has, for example, only Marvel, only DC, only Independence, right? Because if that's all you ever really liked, then that's what you would collect. Of course, it makes sense,
Yeah.
But people who have read and enjoyed comics from all, or many publishers, there are some of those who still only tend to want to get art from one of the publishers, like their favorite publisher, you know? And
right.
In those cases, I kind of feel a little more like, well, I kind of wish they had more balance, because I'll look at the collection, I'm like, oh, it's pretty cool. But I also know you. I know that you have read and that you like these characters and these titles from this other publisher. Why can't you just buy some of that? You know, it just, again, you got to buy what you want.
I guess, you know, it's original art's like buying clothes, right? I mean, it's a very personal thing, right? And it's according to one's means and how they want to present themselves.
Of course.
I mean, it's just
I get it. I get it. Trust me. I'm only speaking from the standpoint of a fan of a comic art, original art fan, who, you know, is looking, I want to spend some time looking at other people's comic art, let's say, or whatever.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
So just from that point of view, when I'm in a gallery and I'm like, oh, I know this guy, you know, whatever, this is a buddy of mine. Oh, let me look at his deeper look into his collection. I'm like, and then when I realize what's going on here, it looks like he only buys from this one publisher. Like, I don't get it. He likes all kinds of comics. It just seems weird, you know. So that's all. But yeah, I like balance, and I've told Cab himself. He's pointing that out to you because he has over the years become that way himself. He used to be very, very much primarily Marvel with a little bit of DC and more specifically Silver Age and some Bronze Age. And man, and again, this goes back a couple of decades, but now a couple of decades forward, and if you go through his gallery, oh my gosh, I mean, it's so balanced. I mean, it is Marvel, like Marvel and DC of all ages, like Silver Age, Bronze Age, like every decade is represented. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's got the independent stuff, old independent, modern day independent. You know, so really, really like went out of his way to try to balance and find, you know, stretch his horizon, so to speak. You know, so. I think that's why he recognized that in other people now, and that's why he's putting that out there for you, you know. Let's see. Hold on. He says, collection is truly awesome. Only your knowledge exceeds that. Just stating the plain fact. Look at that. He's always the most complimentary guy here, you know.
Thank you.
Way to represent Chip.
Chip.
It is Chip. That's what we're supposed to say, right? Chip.
Okay. Yeah. We have plenty of amusing private jokes among me and my friends about Badger, who we sometimes will call Badig because we've heard somebody mispronounce his name, right? Because it's funny to us. So, you know, you'd call him a Chip and Badig, but no, it's Chip and Badger, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Antoine said, look, I've always followed creators. I never think about the publisher or the characters. Right, but that's different. When you're a creator follower, that tends to happen. Obviously, the balance ends up being whatever it is because you're focused on the creator.
Does that, you know, how you said the creator focus, or no, what did you say? The Marvel focus that you notice in some people's galleries being, I don't know. I'm trying to think of the nice way to say it, but like if you think it's like a tunnel vision for Marvel, like the company rather than the art, right? Then I mean, when people have a character focus or a creator focus, like you don't think that because it's not associated with a publisher, right? I mean, okay.
I mean, yeah. That's kind of what that makes sense to me, no?
Yeah. I'm just trying to figure it out in my head because it just sounded like sometimes you're like, oh, okay, people have a lot of Marvel even though they're aware of other creators and other books, so you feel like that's sort of a narrow lane to be in, even though they have the awareness, right? Like,
well, I can't. No, but yeah, that kind of does. Yes, it kind of is that, right? Like, in other words, like let's say I've known you my whole life. And we came up together, you know, we met at the comic shop as kids, right? So I know you well enough. I know all your tastes. And I always knew you as a guy who bought and read 20 Marvel books and 20 DC books and some independents, right? And then we grew up, we became art collectors. And it's like as if I went into your gallery and I suddenly noticed, oh, this is all his Marvel stuff. Oh, any DC, any independent? No. I just find that
you're shocked that there's not any variety. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Like it's just how could you not have any variety? You know, like it's weird. Yeah. That's all.
No, I guess I just ask because sometimes I think people could take it in a way of you know, if it's a narrow focus, maybe they think that what you're looking at is stagnant, but that might not be the case. It might be the most fantastic collection of Marvel pages you've ever seen. You're just shocked because of the context, not because of the content. Okay.
Yeah. Silly question number 3, Mikhail. From Mikhail. Does Derek drive a Maxima?
I mean, I wish I did.
I will say,
but I do not.
I will say, Mikhail, I will give you the prize for the cleverest of the 3 stupid questions. Okay, so we'll call them silly. Yeah. You get the prize for the cleverest of the 3. Okay, there you go. Every night in his dreams. Okay, you guys talking about squirrels? What the? Ruben is always so animated. Thank you. I think he should collect cartoon heart cells. No, thank you. Cab covers the bases beautifully. He sure does. Apologies when you need to check out now. Okay, now you're taking out for sure. Look forward to very much catching what looks to be a great show on Rewind. Thank you, Cab. Thanks, you. Cab. Appreciate that. TJ, you were too kind as always. Night, gay. All the good nights. Christ on Infinite Earth's page is amazing. Love it, Derek. It says Tom. And Mikhail says, I'm sure we all had to make choices, but about which books to buy due to cost restrictions when we were younger. I'm number 1 in that line.
Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me that people collect in single lanes. Okay. But don't forget, Mikhail, we're not kids anymore. That's why it makes it more surprising. When you're a kid, right, you of course you buy what little you can afford, right? But we're adults now, and let's be honest, pretty much anybody who is in our hobby clearly makes enough of a living. They're comfortable enough living that you can say it should be a bit surprising because, yes, even those among us who are the ones with, let's say, the smallest budgets, the fact that they can still afford to buy original art pages, even if they're worth $100, $125, like the cheaper pages. I mean, that's a lot. There's think about how many comic book readers there are in this hobby, right? People who still buy and collect comic books, like brand new comics, right, to read primarily. And there's so many of them who they're aware of original art, but they're like, I hear them talk and they're like, what? How do you afford that stuff? Oh my God. And $100, wow. So there really is the lowest price stuff in our hobby for a lot of people out there. It's still completely unaffordable, So I feel if you are in the hobby and if you are a collector of original art, I don't know that your budget is necessarily a reason for staying in a single lane. If let's say you equally like this publisher and that one, it seems to me, you pick and choose your spots. And okay, I bought this Spidey page, I bought this X-Men page, and you know what? Maybe I should get a Superman or Batman or whatever from the other publisher. But yeah, whatever. There's all kinds of collectors out there for sure. We know that. I read everything growing up, love DC and others, but Marvel is my focus. We know that, Tom.
Yeah.
And Tom, hey, how about this? How about the fact that once again, because Derek, what you don't know is that Tom keeps busting my chops, telling me, Ruben, can you get somebody on the show who is mostly a Marvel guy for a change? Because most of the people I get, and it's not on purpose, I reach out to people who I tend to know or whatever. It just happens that they tend to be more DC oriented. I don't do it on purpose. I would love to do a show and tell with somebody who's primarily Marvel art. Just that the people that I ask tend to not. Yeah, what can I tell you, man? But so he's going to be pissed because this is going to be primarily.
It depends on how balanced your picks are.
It depends how my picks are. Exactly. I can tell you, Tom, in advance, it skews more to the DC side, but I did pick some Marvel just for you. All right, so there we go.
Hey, James.
Hey, what's up, James? Derek Is he being funny? No, I think he's just a typo. What's up, James?
He's excited.
Maxima is badass. Not a lot of Marvel in the most viewed. All DC in the most really?
I think he's looking at my gallery.
I see. Okay.
He's saying the most viewed of my pages are not Marvel.
Oh, okay. Antoine, that's because our friend Derek here, he's known in the hobby, within the confines of our hobby.
Character focus.
Character focused, in particular to the character Maxima from DC Comics, which, if you don't know her, you will be introduced to her in a few minutes. Yeah, so there you go. They were 60 cents each then. If you're talking about comics, they were 60 cents when I started. I know that. But our nostalgia patterns were set. That's true, Mikhail. I'm not going to argue with you, and makes budgeting deciding easier. That's true too. I'll give it to you, my friend. I'll give it to you. Mikhail, we still need to do a show and tell. I don't want to embarrass you or anything like that, but any chance you want to do a show and tell with me on the December 15th? Any time or interest? Let me know. I got an opening. Derek is a big. Okay, there you go. Yeah, exactly. He's known. And what's up? What's up, Lee? How you doing, man? Sketch cards, $50. Not sure what that's about. I was an anemic kid selling blood to afford comics. Okay. Original art holds its value better than the comics. That's true. Well, in my opinion, anyways. I guess it's a matter of opinion. Well, no, it's a fact. It's factual. If you look at both markets closely enough, right? Someone give Peter a cookie quick. Marvel guys are doing things on Sunday night. Apparently. No, we really are not. Yes, you are. You're usually with the family. Weekly typing. LOL. I used to go to Plasma Center when I turned 18 to afford comics. Are you serious? Holy crap. Peter, you need to do a show. Peter did a show. What are you talking about? I do my part raising the views on the Maxima animated cell. Maxima rocketed to Earth as a horny queen looking to hook up with Soups. Okay, you guys. All right. So
it's not. There's no lies, detective.
Leaving for the airport. We'll catch the replay. Good evening,
Mikhail.
Okay, and since you didn't answer my question, Mikhail, I will reach out to you privately with an email. Okay, there you go. Another show, Ruben. Good Lord. Like I said, I just want people that I like to be on the show. Plus, Derek's been on the show. Well, not show and tell, but he's been on a couple of others. And then I realized, oh, yeah, right. Like, he didn't do a show and tell. So you had to get him back for a show and tell, for sure. You know, what can I say? For me, as you know, Tom, for me, the fun is in really the chatting, the talking amongst us. So I personally don't really care what art we show as long as we have fun with it, you know. But, you know, listen, I get you. What can I say? If other people I asked to be on the show would say, if more people would say yes, I had a few people that are too shy to do it, and they happen to be Marvel people. What can I say? So that's part of the reason why you're getting less Marvel. This delay's always a pain in the ass. Have a safe trip. Okay. So anyways, guys, so thank you very much for letting us all chat and talk with Derek and have a little fun with all of us amongst ourselves. It's always appreciated. I'm going to get into the art in a minute. Let me quickly, because I didn't do it right. I should have done it at the beginning, and I forgot, I admit. Wanted to say thank you. You guys are probably not watching, but in case you are, wanted to say thank you, a shout out to my newest subs in the last few days or whatever. IWA Caballero, Iwa Caballero. I'm not really sure how you say that. And Dick Scribble. I mean, that's a pretty sweet name. So I don't know what's up with that. But if you were here, you would be able to tell us. Hopefully, you guys will be able to pop in live on a live stream one day. I don't know who you are. And clearly, you must have come upon my channel, saw something, and liked it enough to hit the subscribe. So I appreciate you and thank you very much. pop in live sometime. That's where it gets more fun. Oh yeah, and then a couple of little promos. He's not here, but let me grab this link for y'all. And just wanted to mention that Carl posted his latest yesterday, I think it was, his latest episode of Bagged and Boarded. And here's the direct link to that. That's his comic book reviews that he does every week. So check that out. And then we have, last but not least, he's also not here tonight and actually hasn't been here very often lately. Busy man that he is. Please, this is a direct link to this coming Friday's episode of Nikki B's The Original Art Experience. Check it out right here. As always, every single Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific, a combination original art claim show / talk show. So please do check that out if you have a chance. And I think that's 2 weeks in a row that I've been able to provide a direct link to the show, which means that they're finally scheduling them not at the last minute. So that's a good thing. Keep it up, Nick. Tell your people to keep it up. And let's see. I think that's it for the promos for everybody. And let me see. It's Baruchi's the best. We got his Dick Scribble and art style. It sounds like it, Mike. It sounds like it. Ruben said
Kavi's comment.
Cross-hatching is amateur compared to Dick Scribble. Yeah, similar to Scribble Dick. Why did I know that people were going to go off on that guy's name? But hey, listen, when you give yourself a name like that, I guess you got to expect stuff like that. So I can't really say anything about the comments. And can you really call next show a claim show? I don't know. Why can't you? Why wouldn't you, TJ? James says, "Show us some hot Maxima art." All right. Let's do that. Why don't we? You ready to do that? Get in. Ready to get in?
Let's go. I'm ready. I've been curious about this. I'm looking forward to it.
Curious. All right. Curious to see. I know that's what you told me when we first talked about doing the show. I'm really curious to see what you're gonna pick. But okay, let's keep in mind Derek has a lot of art. So if anybody, I'm prefacing this just to say, if anybody gets pissed off, you didn't show this piece. Why? How could you not show that piece? Because I can only show you about 20 pieces, and that's it. So you're not going to always get everything you want, whatever. I picked stuff. As always, I picked stuff that I like. I picked stuff that I thought you guys would like. And I picked stuff that I thought Derek would appreciate that I picked. Whatever. We'll see. So it's all good. It's all just, again, it's hard to get a well-rounded look at someone's entire collection when it's quite large, with only 20 slides, right? So whatever. Well, it'll be fun. It's fun so far. So it'll be good, guys. It'll be good. Don't worry. Maxima art and a slide. Why is it like the third week in a row people are saying Slido in my chat? Like what is that? What is that?
James frequently uses Slido in
what does it mean? What is that?
It's one of those, like, what do you call it, polling things in the middle of a show. So it's like, who's your favorite Marvel character? Wolverine, Hulk, or Iron Man?
So the software
Slido, they sign in, people vote.
So that's
did you have a quiz?
Right. But the name of the software is Slido.
Yeah. Like you go to slido.com. So that's what.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. Because I was supposed to use that. 2 years ago, and then whatever. In the end, I was like, yeah, whatever. Do I really need it? Just ask a question. But then I heard that James had been using it, and then I thought about it, but I was like, yeah, but I don't really do shows where I'm asking you guys a bunch of questions and doing poll type stuff. So I was like, so I still didn't bother. But I'm in the beginning stages of gonna see if I can plan out a movie type show episode again, but trying to make it a more involved than the last one we did. And so I will need to use stuff like potentially Slido and maybe some other type of software. So we'll see, whatever. But yeah, I just didn't know that. Yeah, there's a few, there's a bunch of different softwares that do the same thing. So I just wasn't, aware of that one. But yeah, so we'll see. We'll see. Bubbles, bubbles, bubbles. Don't you have to sell art? Call it a claim show. Well, they sell art. Come on, that's not fair. People claim. I mean, last week I saw people claiming, and last week, the week before. I don't know what you guys are downing on him for. 374 pieces. Thank you, Mike. There you go. That's my point, right? You got 374 pieces in your calf alone. It's not easy to get a great representation with 20 pieces, right? So that's all I'm saying. Maxima, Maxima, Maxima. Man, you're dying for Maxima, Peter. Prepare for Maxima. Overdrive, Dwayne's a pain. Oh, that's funny. Because I've been, I can't see your comment. What does it say? Oh, because I've been on 3 weeks in a row. Okay, show, don't tell. All right. 25% Maxima in gallery. I like those odds. Don't YouTube have polls? I don't know if they do. Harrison Ford Film Fest produced by Ruben. I'm sure you're waiting for that, Peter. You're going to be waiting a long time. I think you can post polls in the community tab of the channel. Really? Not sure if you can live in chat. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, I'll figure it out. I'll try to figure it out. But yeah, let's get into this, everyone. I'm going to queue up the images here. And yeah, we'll get into this. Show and tell number 60 with Derek Crabbe. And the first one. All right. So I think you're going to appreciate this, you people who have been posting the last few comments. I wanted to start with this one, Derek, because it's a commission. And as you know, I'm not really a commission guy. At least, doing them for myself. But I admire other people's commissions. And this one is by an artist who I don't know why, but I've never paid any attention to the guy, to his work. And then I spotted this and I was like, wow, I was really enamored with it. So, yeah, tell me a little bit about, tell us all about this one.
Oh, yeah, this is the Kenneth Rocafort I got. I love Kenneth Rocafort. Like I liked his Superman run in the New 52, and then that kind of, people talk about like following the artist, so I was kind of like looking at other work he had done. Like he had a nice run on the Ultimates when it was like Black Panther and Captain Marvel and Blue Marvel and all those guys, right? So like there were a bunch of different things that he worked on. And, obviously, even though he had a run on Superman in the New 52, like Maxima by that point wasn't really a thing in the New 52, not really. So right. I think when I first started commissioning things, I think my goal was to get representations of Maxima from some of my favorite artists who had not drawn her in published comics. And so this was almost like, I told that story about the Dan Jurgens, the Free Superman sketch, and then maybe moving into getting either commissions or sketches at shows, and then this was something early on where he had a opportunity, or I think maybe I reached out to him on Twitter. I can't remember, but it was either an opportunity or I reached out to him on Twitter. And then at this point, I think he was still pretty local, so I could actually drive out and meet him at a local comic store, and I was able to pick that up from him. And it was cool. He was a super sweet, super nice guy. We talked a lot about how he kind of got a lot of shit for his New 52 Lobo design and how that wasn't really his fault. Like there was a lot of editorial kind of like, draw it like this, and he's like, if it was up to me, I would have made it look like the Bisley Lobo, but they wanted something different, and so it was fun to talk to him about that. It was I think this was something that kind of turned me on to commissioning, at least because I got to see like the sort of like a little snapshot of what he was working on, I think on Twitter at the time, so I was all giddy about it. And it's just something that I've always been, at least his art, I've always been a fan of. And so it was, I guess that was one of my first go-tos of like, oh, if I can make this a thing, I'd like to make it, I had the idea and I just wanted to make it a reality. But I always find it interesting. Like I give people references. Like I usually make a PDF or I print out, a sheet that has maybe 4 select images of Maxima in this costume, in the armor. And sometimes I think because of the cover to Action 651, she meets Superman at the bottom of like the river or whatever, at the bay, and she's, covered in a telekinetic bubble. And, I find it's interesting because a lot of people tend to associate her with water imagery because of that. But, I guess strictly speaking, she's a queen from outer space, right? And then there's further confusion because I think later she had a guest appearance in Aquaman, and by the time they were doing JLA Avengers, she was kind of shoehorned in with all the other, Namor and Aquaman, like all the water folks, I guess you'd say, right? And so I do find it interesting that when people tend to do commissions of her, and I think this is semi-true of this one, right? There is that kind of bubbly, watery imagery as kind of like a background as well, which it's funny, like sometimes I'm like, of course I don't usually dictate anything. It's like I just kind of say, oh, I'd like a commission of Maxima, and then whatever the agreed upon size and half image, full image, whatever it is, right? And sometimes it's very basic, it's just the image of the figure, and sometimes there's backgrounds to it. So sometimes I do find it interesting that sometimes, because maybe the first image they look up is that Perez 651 Action Comics cover, I think their first go-to is like, oh yeah, I can do some watery type imagery background and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, it's really nice. I mean,
I know it might have been confusing because that was when that 2020 date is when I dumped all those. I didn't know the rules, right? I was an NFG, so I
didn't get that from you. See, you're gonna see tonight. There's a few slides that have question marks on the date. That's not because of you. In fact, you didn't have any indication whatsoever, right, and the art wasn't dated, right? So
that's what I mean. I did an art dump, because Simon introduced me to CAF. So
I see,
that very first time I started posting on CAF, it was like, oh, I had all these commissions up until 2020, and then I just kind of, so I'm pretty sure I got that at the beginning of 2019. So I think it was like January 2019, or maybe it was January 2018, but it was I remember it was early in the year when I got that.
I had a feeling as I was picking them and I decided to like choose them, I was like, I'm betting this is more like 2017, 18, or 19, but I don't want to reach out and ask because then I ruin the surprise for you. I don't want you knowing what I'm
right.
So
I
figured, I figured whatever. It's not a big deal. And at least by putting the question mark, it's telling you I'm not sure. So as opposed to putting 2020.
I'm accepting blame. Like that was just doing. I did a big art dump of a lot of my commissions early on.
Yeah. No worries, man. No worries. All right, man. Get ready for this. Y'all ready for this? Remember that from the 90s? Y'all ready for this? Dun, 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 dun. However it goes there. It always starts. Y'all ready for this?
Yes.
And it's like a dance song. But Tom, get ready, man. Get ready because this one's for you. I wanted to excite you early on. All right, here we go. This is the second piece in tonight's show and tell. Check it out.
So let me see. This was a Heroes Con 2023 purchase. This I bought from I guess from Leinil, but from Quan Chang and Leinil at the show. This is probably one of those, like, how people say, like, you see a piece on a website and you sit there and you covet it and you watch it for so long that you think it's yours, and then the story usually goes, one day somebody finally buys it and then you didn't buy it and you're sad. Well, this is I went to Heroes Con thinking, well, if they bring that piece, because he'll be at that show, I will buy this piece because I don't want to sit there and covet it or whatever. This is from the House of X, Powers of X run. I just, it's Cyclops, and he's riding a fucking dinosaur. Like, it's super badass. Like, I like this cover when it first came out. I don't know that it's like super duper representative of the content within, as most modern covers don't tend to be. I mean, he, at the very least, he's in his Krakoan era, Cyclops outfit. So I guess that's the best you can ask for. But I did really want, I guess when you're talking about like balance with Cab, Cyclops is one of my favorite characters. I mean, I don't know if people notice, but in my calf,
you hear that, Marcus?
There's a my avatar is like an icon of me when I was maybe like 11 or 12, but I was I was dressed up like Cyclops from X Factor, with the white X, blue outfit or whatever, and that was much to the chagrin of my friends who liked Wolverine, and we would beat the fuck out of each other on the playground. But like, that's I mean, that's kind of what part of my attraction to it or whatever. I don't know. Like, for me, I came to it in a very sort of adolescent phase, like I don't think any of the problems that people have with Cyclops these days was anything that was much of a concern for me. To me, it was more about my junior high drama reflecting in maybe Cyclops adult drama, and just kind of relating to it on that level. And then as far as I guess means and Marvel being popular, I mean, there were some opportunities maybe for me to get something a little more vintage, but I don't know. I just those opportunities sort of passed me by. So I think when it came time to do this, there were a couple things that led to it, but I don't know. I had this weird ritual where I went around looking for because mostly I read comics digitally these days. And so I went around to a bunch of shops, and this was kind of long after the issue was not brand new at this point, like by 2023. This came out, I think, in 2020 maybe, or 2021, or I don't know.
Yeah, this is 2020. This is the correct. Yeah.
So I guess I went around looking for the physical copy of the issue, and I found it at one of my local shops. So I was like, okay, this is a sign. I found it. My big game plan was, I'm going to bring this physical issue. I'm going to get Leinil to sign it one way or the other, because I like the cover and I like it a lot. But if this cover is there at the show physically and available, I'm gonna buy it. And that was like the first thing I did at Heroes 2023. Like, I mean, I talk about it a little bit on my podcast, so if you ever are interested in like some of the nitty-gritty details of maybe some of the shows I go to and some of the stories behind it or whatever, some of those are there. But I mean, as far as this specific cover, like, I mean, I really liked and I kind of like the whole, he's with the White Queen, and it's representative of that relationship. So, you know how sometimes you talk about maybe, like, I guess I call it like transitive nostalgia. It's like, it's not from, Morrison and Quietly's new X-Men, but it, to me, it does evoke that it revokes the memories of that. It's like, if I can't get something from Quietly and Morrison's new X-Men with Emma and Scott on it, then this is my this is my way of scratching that itch, I guess.
Yeah. Cool acquisition story, Jason says. So there you go. I like that. Maybe. Oh, sorry. It may be Kazar just trying to get some action.
I mean, they are in the Savage Land with all the dinosaurs, right? So
art is great, story even more. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. See, that kind of goes to my point, CJ, what I always say about, when people complain about, you don't show enough of this kind of art during your show and tells, or, you show too much of that kind of art or whatever. And I'm just like, okay, I don't even really think of it in terms of the art. I put a lot of effort into choosing the art, but like, for me, it's still more about just the camaraderie and talking and getting stories out. That's what I like best. So I appreciate that, CJ. But yeah, great story, good art. So or great story, great art. So yeah. All right, cool. Let me get the next one queued up, and we will move on to the third piece, and that oh yeah, this one's from a book that I have a particular fondness for. Check this one out, everybody. An artist I usually try to avoid for reasons I've explained before, showing on my show and tells. Here we go. Check it out.
Da, 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 da. I figured the odds of this page were pretty good. That's why I wore it.
Really?
Right? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I thought so. Yeah. I figured it's one of the nicer Grummett pages that I have, and I do have some Green Lantern art.
But in fairness, don't forget, I get the picture to do the photographs from you guys, to do these shows, to make the thumbnail. I get them, in advance. I don't ever expect that you're going to show up dressed like that on the day of the show. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. I think things out like long in advance. So I mean,
You mean like, so you're saying like when you took your picture and decided to do it with that shirt, you in your head thought, okay, this is the shirt I'll be wearing during the show as well?
Yes.
Nice. Look at that. I like planning in advance, man. I like that. Yeah.
That's exactly what my thought process was.
Wow. Okay.
It's a cool page. It's from Armageddon 2001. There was a series of annuals. Wave Rider runs around touching people to see if they have deep dark futures where they turn into Monarch, who is ruling the future at the time. I think this is I don't know if it's the first, second, or third time they touch Superman, but Superman had 3 annuals, so he had to touch them 3 fucking times for whatever reason. And each time it was a different kind of sort of sad dystopian whatever future or things like that. In this one, Superman becomes president of the United States, and at this point he has wrested control of a Green Lantern ring from Guy Gardner, who is being a goofball doofus face. So now Hal's basically coming back to say like, okay, well, the Guardians and us, we all talked about it, like we're gonna let you have this ring, and he actually refuses it, and kind of is saying, I don't want too much power, I don't want this power to go to my head, and you should give it to someone who actually deserves it, and that's not me. And so that's it's a key moment in the story. I think it's a moment where Wave Rider realizes, like, no matter what reality I go to, Superman is not going to turn evil. Like I've touched him 3 times, and 3 times he's proven to be a bastion of goodness. So that kind of should rule him out as a suspect.
Yeah, it's very lovely, and I myself have, I don't know, I guess 5 or 6 pages from this. Yeah, maybe even more, maybe 6 or 7 pages from this annual. And I remember really digging it. I don't, again, as always, I don't remember the story much, but I think I liked the idea of, Superman becoming president. And I thought that was kind of fun. And I liked the art, and I liked that the Justice League, had a sequence in it, and
it was a cool battle sequence and everything. The sequence before this, I think he has a cool fight with Calabac at the beginning of the issue or something.
Oh yeah, and I got a page when he uncovers Calabac for the first time, when he opens up this crate or whatever, and he's like, oh my god, you see it's Calabac, So it was fun. I haven't read it since it came out, so obviously I don't know how it would read today, whatever, but it was certainly fun to me at the time anyways, so.
Yeah, I like those crossover events. Especially back then, I think I was the target audience. I wanted to collect all the annuals and find out.
You were at that age at that time, right?
I was probably like 12 or 13 or something.
That's
I was totally into all that stuff.
Yeah, perfect age for that. Calabac Girl.
He's just going off. Doomsday Girl, Calabac Girl. I think we're going to do that for the rest of the night.
Oh, I guess so. Okay. Yeah, it is a really nice page copy, for sure. All right. Let's move on to the 4th piece. The 4th piece, already going back to commission land, and I picked this one for no other reason than it's simple, right? There's no background, but I just really liked it. I'm a big fan of this artist, and I love the fun inherent in the piece, right? I'm always looking for fun pages, and this represents that. So check this out, everybody.
Ooh, yeah. This was this took some doing, but I finally got it. This was a commission piece. It's funny. It's interesting that Tony showed up on the show to support me tonight, because we will often have after hours chats after we do the podcast, and we just bullshit about things and shoot the shit. And we're pretty big fans of obscure characters. And I think one night we were, I love Madcap. I mean, Madcap was it was in the first issue of Daredevil I ever read. I always thought he was cool. He was kind of like Deadpool before Deadpool was a thing. Like he had this maybe not a I don't know, a grim and gritty healing factor like Wolverine or Deadpool. Like I always felt like Madcap was more like a Looney Tunes character. Like when you chopped off his arm, it would look like a ham hock and shit, and he'd just pop it right back on, and he'd be fine. He was like, he was like a literal cartoon character. And I always kind of joked about, like it wouldn't matter if Madcap got into a fight with Wolverine, he would like out heal his healing factor or whatever. And it's just childhood nostalgia, very kind of potentially Z-list character that I just fell in love with at an early age. And then we were kind of discussing, the Heckler and Madcap and both the kind of yellow outfits and everything. The Heckler was a mini series that I was strongly drawn to because of the Giffen art style, the kind of esoteric nature of the art and everything. I remember I had a drama class in high school, and we were supposed to make these what do they call them? Like you put like strips of stuff over your face, and it was like you made this like sort of ceramic mask or whatever, and it was supposed to be like, oh, you were making like a theater mask for yourself.
Like a death mask?
Kind of, but more in terms of like for theatrical purposes, like you would wear it on stage like a clown or something like that.
Okay.
Like if you were going to be like the jester or something like that in the play. And so what I immediately thought of for that aspect, that jesterish aspect, was the Heckler. And so when I made the mask that fit my face, I kind of gave him that giant white smile, and then of course I could see out the eyelids and everything like that. And then I colored the whole mask yellow, and so I don't know. Both those characters meant a lot to me, and I think one of my initial commission goals was to, I guess, get things that no one else would ask for, like, and I always like team ups, and if I could think of something and make it sort of like a tangible reality, it always kind of made me giddy. So just the fact that I think Tony and I had this conversation one night where it's like, wouldn't it be kick ass if they could somehow get Heckler and Madcap in the same room and they could have an adventure? And so because of that, that was something that I reached out to Kevin, I think through his website, and he was like, yeah, sure, we can do that. It was supposed to be picked up at HeroesCon 2019, but I guess Kevin had I forget what happened. Like there was some issue with the flight or something like that, and he ended up missing the entire show. And then it took a little while then at that point where it was one of those kind of commission stories that most people probably dread, but has a happy ending. And that I got the piece maybe, I don't know, a year or so later or something like that. I forget the exact date now, and it's not a sore point, so I don't. It's nothing to elaborate, but I know there were frequent emails where I was like, hey, is this done? When is this going to happen? And it's like eventually it finally did, but there were quite a few of those before the piece actually came in hand or whatever. But I love team ups, and I love team ups that probably can't happen for legal reasons, or at least would take a lot of red tape to get through to make happen. So the fact that I can make it sort of a reality, just in commission land like that, I think is cool. I mean, if I had an unlimited budget, like if I had a money tree that would never stop, I would patron as many artists that I liked as possible to do all the wacky team up ideas I've ever had. But, in this case, it probably had a fixed number, a fixed life, a fixed budget, but who knows? Like, occasionally there are things that surprise me where I'm like, oh, that's pretty reasonable for 2 figures. And maybe I think the person would be really great at drawing, whoever it is, and people surprise me. So.
Yeah, well, that's a great one. It came out really beautifully. I mean, even the colors on it. I don't usually like color on the art, but the color looks really great.
It's interesting. When I first got into it, I mean, I think I was pretty adamant. Like, I really wanted inks and colors. Like, I mean, even as far as like reading comics, I mean, we'll make jokes about it on the podcast sometimes, but I mean, it's interesting that I went into published art as much as I did, because I think maybe for me, like, reading those old black and white essentials, like, I kind of hated those, like, because I was like, oh, they're just coloring books. Like, I can't always follow everything. And I know sometimes people say how the coloring in certain, decades is garish or doesn't work or whatever, So that's oh, hey, what's up? Awesome. Damien Hellstrom.
Tony, why aren't you recording, man? Get back to recording. Get back in that studio.
So well, he's got like 3 minutes. He's got plenty of time.
A few minutes to go.
But so I guess for Antoine, I guess he had a question. Like, I mean, if you look at my one of my galleries, I mean, it's dedicated to team ups, so that would probably answer a bunch of your questions of ones that I sort of made a reality.
Check out his gallery with the link below in the description, under the description, Antoine. Go to the gallery and you'll see a whole bunch of funky team ups that you would never think. Got some fun Transformers and Titans together, going on a friggin' not blind date, whatever you call it. What do you call those dates? Double dates.
Double date.
Double date. Yeah. Some crazy fun stuff there, man. Some crazy fun stuff. So check that out, Antoine. Oh, and I wanted to ask you, out of curiosity, when you were describing that you couldn't find the name of that stuff that you put on your face in class, a bunch of guys were throwing out names. Are you talking about either papier-mâché, plaster casts?
Yeah, like that. The mache plaster type thing. Yeah, they're probably right about that. Sometimes it's tough for me to talk and follow the chat at the same time. But yeah, paper mache. Rick is probably right, and CJ is saying plaster. Like that's exactly what it was.
Yeah. No, and FYI, I prefer that I don't tell them not to, but I prefer the guests don't look and follow the chat, because then it becomes obvious you're kind of staring at the chat and you're not too focused or whatever. It doesn't work so good. But yeah, don't worry about it. I you know me. I get to everybody. That's I even if I come later to it, I was not going to forget Antoine's question. I skipped over it on purpose so that I can leave it for last and ask you the question. After I put the comments up. So I don't leave any, especially I pretty much handle every comment, but I certainly never purposely skip a question that's to the guest, So yeah, you can always rely that I will get to that for sure. CJ says that your gallery is fantastic.
Thank you, CJ.
So that's nice. I got Damon Display with Black Heart and Mephisto.
Yeah.
Okay, Damon Hellstrom. Yeah. It's so funny how his name was Hellstrom, and so they figured, well, when we call him by his superhero name, we'll just flip the letters and we'll call him Hellstorm. I guess they figured that would sound cooler. I don't know. It was weird,
It's tough to get those figures in the Walmarts when your name is when you're the son of Satan, right? It's got to be a special exclusive online figure, otherwise the moms and dads of Walmart won't like that.
All right, everybody, let us move on to the next piece. And the next piece, what do we got? Oh yeah, another IP that Derek is a huge fan of, and I could have done a whole show episode on this IP, but that's not what the show is about. So I've got a couple of examples, and this is one of them. Check it out.
Yeah. This is a Sins of the Wreckers cover by Alex Milne. This is probably, I mean, the miniseries were really good. There was a series of Wreckers miniseries, and those were some of the best things that IDW published. They were pretty kind of gritty, kind of hardcore. The Wreckers are kind of like the, I don't know, the Dirty Dozen of the Autobots, you know, or maybe modern terms like the Expendables of the Autobots.
Okay.
You know, they're just it's like a hardcore commando Autobot team who do all the dirty jobs that nobody else can or wants to do. You know, and again, they've been in the comics since the Marvel era, mostly like the UK comics that Simon Furman wrote, and then they sort of, you know, went into the US comics and have gone into other, you know, iterations of Transformers, one of which was the IDW stuff. But this is a variant cover, and in particular, it very much evokes the original lineup of the Wreckers. So like Springer, I mean, I'm going to be honest, like the main reason why I like it and really wanted it is because Springer is the main focus. He's you know, one of the leaders of the Wreckers in its long history. Springer is one of the main characters from Transformers the movie, which I have a lot of love for, and he's kind of like the, you know, I don't know, I think Snorrick has said it, you know, maybe very well. He mentioned, you know, Springer's kind of like the Han Solo of the Transformers. You know, he's cracking wise, he gets the girl, you know, like he's you know, he flies a cool spaceship, you know, like all those things, right? Like, so it's like that's I mean, I think that's totally a reasonable comparison as far as that goes. And when you mentioned that the Titans Transformers kind of mashup that I had with the Double Date, like Springer is the character in that going on a date with RC, and that's why you know, compared to Nightwing and Starfire in that example. So that's, I guess, to go into it even deeper than that, to show you how nerdy and obsessed I was with Transformers the movie. I made 2 adaptations of Transformers the movie, one with Marvel characters when I was a kid and one with DC characters when I was a kid. And by made, I mean, you know, drew it on, you know, you know, paper, you know, construction paper, like all this kind of stuff. I never finished the Marvel one. I only got as far as like maybe the first issue or so. I did finish the DC one where I had like, I don't know, something like 90 something pages of a story. And the reason why those team ups are, I don't know, personal is that those were the people I cast. So if you see any commissions in my gallery, like where, say, Hot Rod is with, you know, Superboy from The Reign of the Supermen, like basically that's who I cast in the DC version of that whole, you know, Transformers the movie thing. So it's kind of like Nightwing and Starfire were the Springer and RC in my little DC version of that story. So, but yeah, I you know, I don't know, I like that. I really like Alex Milne's art. I mean, I think he's
yeah, it's pretty nice.
I mean, as far as the Transformers go, he's rock solid, you know. So and those, I mean, if you want to go into stories, I mean, those were hair raising. I mean, he would drop art on Twitter, and it was basically like first come, first serve, and there was a great demand for it. So I think there was like a stretch of like 3 to 4 months where I would see this art, and I'd be like, "Can I get this?" And he'd be like, "Oh, sorry, like somebody's already grabbed it."
Somebody already grabbed it.
That went on for like maybe 4 months until I got the bright idea. Oh, I'm gonna set up alerts and this and that and the other thing. Like I was like, God damn it, I want to get something. And then I set up an alert. And then that next time, after that 4 months drought of not being able to claim anything, it was like, oh, I claimed like 7 things in a row, and I was just like, oh, now I got to pay for it all, you know.
You were making up for lost time, you know.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's great. Yeah, again, kind of transitive in terms of nostalgia, you know, that kind of thing. Like I mean, I guess unless you're really close, unless you have a lot of knowledge of Transformers history, I mean, it might not be obvious, but I think my focus, if you could say there is one within the subset of the Transformers IP, are those I guess I'd say movie characters, or maybe season 3 Transformers characters. So I kind of focus on those, and Springer is you know, one of the coolest and the best ones in that bunch. So I was super pleased to be able to get that cover, to have like a representation of that.
It's a nice one too. Yeah, I mean, what a kick-ass cover. Antoine was asking, did you ever see the Transformers episode of The Toys That Made Us? A TV show?
I know I watched that. If that was in the first season, I'm pretty sure it was. I probably watched
I watched it. I couldn't tell you what season it was.
Yeah, I'm sure I watched it. I mean, it didn't. I mean, I don't have much memory of it other than
right.
I'm sure it was fine. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure it was respectable enough, but probably didn't tell somebody like me anything I didn't already know either. So
right. No, yeah. I like that series. You know, the movies that made us, the toys that made us, all these other things that made us, whatever. I enjoy all of that stuff. It's pretty fun stuff. You know. I use them on neon signs market. Okay. Okay, excellent. All right. So we move from Transformers, everyone, and we go into the next piece. The next piece is this one.
Yeah.
An IP that I want to say I saw this probably the year after it hit the theaters, because obviously it was 18 and over. So I was 13 at the time. And I guess I saw it on video, you know, the year, you know, whenever it came out on video, and I became an instant fan. I love the series. And when this comic came out, just wanted to say, and I was a big Alcala fan. I was like, okay, this I would have loved this. I bought the 2 issues, and it's canceled. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, that did suck. I mean, I honestly, if you want to hear like way more in depth, I did an entire episode on these 2 issues, like just
I know you did. I noticed it. I noticed it recently, and I was like, oh, I gotta catch that sometime.
Yeah. I mean, but I mean, as far as like my story with this, I mean, there were pages of this that would come up on Heritage. I bought a few of them. None of them actually had Freddy on them, but to be honest, I didn't care because this is especially number 2 was I called it a spinner rack book. You know, it was a magazine, a Marvel magazine I bought from 7-Eleven back in the day. And I was, I mean, this was, you know, at the height, I feel like the zenith of Freddy's popularity. I think the number 4 had just come out and made a ton of money, and it was kind of in between. So he had a TV show, he had video games, he had this Matchbox doll that got banned everywhere. And sure enough, Marvel was like, well, let's make a comic book out of it. And, you know, I think, you know, there probably was a lot of pushback, just like there was against the Matchbox doll and all this other stuff. And so I know they had planned up to 6 issues, but they only got the 2 out. And when this specific page came up on Heritage, you know, I think I had already bought 2 other pages that did not have Freddy in them, and I think those were both from issue 1. So the fact that this was from number 2, and number 2 was something that, you know, I consider, you know, essentially a childhood kind of spinner rack you know, something I basically anything that I didn't buy at a comic book specialty shop, I sort of have a special love for. And so this is definitely that. You talk about the Alcala, you know, I know you guys talk about bricks all the time, but like I love Alcala walls. Like you know, like I know Marcus was busting your balls about those Batman pages and stuff, but like some of those where Alcala inked it, and you could see the same Alcala walls when, like, you know, Robin's punching some dipshit in the background, and you see the wall or whatever. Like I can't tell you, like I love this stuff, and it's a Marvel magazine, and like this is something different than I know I complained about like Essentials, you know, like reading, you know, Marvel Essentials where they're just, to me, black and white coloring books, but this is very, very different. It's like, you know, it evokes all those, you know, the Tomb of Dracula, the you know, all those old like Marvel horror magazines, you know, and it's just there's just something, I don't know, just that really captivates me about those and feels really special, you know. So I'm just you know, and the fact that, like, you know, the thing that was great about this too was that, you know, they really captured Freddy's voice, you know, like you know, he's kind of like, you know, I'm gonna turn your body into 1,000 points of blood, Jules, you know, like that whole kind of thing, you know, like where it's just like you could hear Robert Englund saying the lines and shit. Like it's just that's I don't know. For this, it's just I don't know. It's super super special to me, and I really I sort of poured over this book like a bunch. It was like one of those those early quote unquote spinner rack books. It's like those were the ones that I think Mikhail was talking about. Like you had a limited budget, you got what you got. And then because you had what you had, sometimes you'd pull out that same stack and reread it all, and that's, I mean, sometimes you ask, like, why do I have like such burnt in memories of certain things? And that's because it's like I remember everything about Batman Death in the Family because I had that stupid little trade paperback and I read it like 10,000 times. Like I had that trade paperback of Dark Knight Returns and I read it till all the pages freaking fell out of it and the spine wasn't a spine anymore. So that's that's one of those deals where I'm just forever captivated by this kind of stuff.
It's fabulous. It's fabulous. I have my own little anecdote about the art for these two issues.
Oh, okay.
If you don't mind me telling.
Yeah. If something that I don't know, I'm looking forward to hear.
Yeah, no, it's kind of it's one of these stories that just it pisses me off. But so okay. I don't know if you remember just offhand, but the image that is seared into my memory was when I first opened that Joe Jusko cover, the splash page, the first splash page. I don't know if you remember what it was.
Do you remember the one where they're in the brain of Freddy or whatever?
No, that might be in the second issue. But in the
first, you're talking about the splash in the first one, like where he's like over the hotel or whatever. That one.
Yeah. Right. So it's kind of like hovering up in the sky.
Yeah.
Image of his face or whatever, plus the hand, whatever, and then down below on the street level is I don't know.
Right. The psychiatrist is in the hotel or whatever. Right. Like
it's an outdoor scene actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's an ambulance. Actually, I'm busy.
But I mean, it's the motel that she's staying at, though, isn't it? The outside shot.
But it's from outside, though.
Yeah.
I'm uploading it now. We'll take a look and see exactly what it is. But anyways, this piece. So I was just enamored with this piece. And I was like, oh my god, when I got into collecting, I was like, wow. I loved Alcala, and I was like, man, the Alcala piece that I would love, even though I loved his inks on the early Savage sort of Conan comics. I was like, man, if I could ever get that splash page from the Nightmare on Elm Street #1 magazine, that would be like the greatest thing ever, right? Then fast forward, I don't know, 10 to 15 years, it comes up at Comic Link. I'm like, oh my god.
Right.
Oh yeah! Oh my god! I'm gonna finally get to own this thing. And then I don't know what happened. I forgot.
Oh no!
So it ended, and I just forgot about the auction. So I go see. Oh my god! How much did it sell for? I say $400. I'm like, oh, no, So I had that frustration, right? But here's the thing: it gets worse. A few years later, guess what comes up for auction at Comic Link? That same piece.
The same piece?
The same piece. So the buyer decided he didn't want it anymore. Here's my second chance, baby. Woo! Right?
Oh, okay.
What happened? Somehow I forgot.
Well, then you must have not wanted it that bad, dude.
No, I wanted it. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I don't even know what to tell you, man. I don't know. It was the most frustrating part of being in this hobby. I'm like, once is bad enough, but twice for the same thing? No, trust me, I want it. I would still buy it today at multiple times that price, because of course now it's worth multiple times that price. But guess what? Guess what was even more frustrating, Derek, than missing it for the second time? It's the fact that when I remembered and I was like, and I wanted to cry, and I'm like, oh my god, oh no, oh my god, please tell me it went for a lot of money.
Did it sell for less? It sold for less the second time.
No, it didn't. Thank God it didn't.
Oh,
but
okay.
Not that was a consolation. It sold for the exact same money, $400 again.
Well,
oh my god. Anyways, everybody, I'll get to your. I know there's 11 comments I haven't checked yet, but everybody check it out. This is the art right here that I'm talking about. Let's check this out.
Yeah, so that was I think that was the like either the house or the motel. I don't know. Basically, the girl got all chopped up by Freddy, and then the ambulance is coming to take her away. But yeah, that's fantastic. You know what's weird about that is like I don't know. You know, it's funny because Anthony has an image of Freddy, but it's similar to that image, but he's got feathers instead of claws. And I know it wasn't published, but I feel like maybe had they run the issues long enough, like maybe they would have used it as like a letter column image or something like that. But you know, because he had like feathers, like quill pen feathers or something for claws. But anyway, but yeah, no, you're right. That's a fantastic page. I wonder, and that's all one. I mean, it's not like there's any overlay or any other bullshit on it. It's just one image. That's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. You've forgotten auctions before, Ian, and you set alarms. Yeah, I don't need to set alarms because I just at the time I just assumed, you know, like of course I was hardcore into it at the time. I'm not going to forget. Why would I forget? You know, I guess I just got busy with life, and yeah, I just completely slipped my mind, and that was it. You know, so yeah, not a happy camper, especially for it to happen twice on the same piece. Hey, oh my God, I've never seen it since, so I don't know where it is. I don't know who has it, whatever, but. Beautiful. I just, oh my God. And you know what other piece just is coming up soon for auction, which at the time, I don't really care enough anymore. Like I wouldn't go for it at today's prices.
Oh, the cover, right?
The Just Go cover. Yeah. I prefer this. I would rather own this than the cover, but it's still a really pretty fun, cool piece, right? So
It was exciting to me until I realized that I think whoever owned it must have mistreated it. Like,
oh really?
I don't know. That. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like whoever owned it in between the first time it was auctioned off from Heritage and this time, like, I don't know. It looks like it's seen better days to me, but maybe that's just me convincing myself not to go after it. But you know.
Yeah, maybe. But exactly, Bobby. Whoever owns it hasn't put it on cap. That's my point. Exactly. I haven't seen it since, and so that pisses me off. So a lot of alarms. Yeah. What's up, Carl? How you doing, man? A lot of horror collectors don't use cap and buy art for what it is. That's right. That's what scares me is that it ended up being a non-comic art guy or gal, right? I mean, in fact, there's a female. Who left you, Derek, some comments on one of your Nightmare on Elm Street pages.
Oh yeah, I think I
remember that. Yeah, and she said, and I think you said to her, you replied to her something to the effect of, you know, you have some pages from this? Like, I'd love to see them. And she at the time said, oh yeah, I haven't filled my gallery, I have nothing in my gallery, whatever. And I think she left you a message saying, oh, check this out now. But then I went to her gallery just the other day and there's nothing there. So,
I sort of remember that interaction, but then just kind of moving on when I realized, I guess, you know, they decided not to post anything.
You're a bad piece of comic art, aren't you? You like that? All right, John. But everything said, thank you, Derek, for allowing me to
Oh no, this is rad.
My own little shit into your show and tell, man.
No, it's fun. I mean, you know, something new that I hadn't heard about before.
Yeah,
it's fun to hear the old war stories of past attempts to buy Freddy pages. That's cool.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Even when they don't turn out like good stories, with good happy endings, right? Like, but okay, yeah. Let us move on, everybody. And Secret Origin of Dick Scribbling. Man, you guys are never gonna let that go. Poor Dick Scribbling. He's never gonna now. Even if he saw and heard my message at the beginning of the show, he's never gonna. After he's seen your guys' comments, he's gonna be terrified to ever show up live.
It's okay, Ruben. It's the equivalent of I need a man to hug and kiss or whatever. Right? Like I think it's fine.
Why can't I find a man to hug and kiss?
I think it's fine. I don't think he's going to take any offense. He's just going to be giggling that you said his fucking name at all. So don't worry about it.
You hear that, Dick Scribbling? You better show up at some point. All right. So yeah, let's go from Nightmare on Elm Street to this next one. Check the. Oh yeah, this one. Okay. I know why you like this one. Everybody's gonna know why you like this one. I like it for the second reason you'll think about. Check it out.
Okay. Is it the Supergirl reason? Like,
yeah. I just love the.
I mean, that's
triumphant. You know,
ostensibly that's the best panel on the entire page. I mean, this was an early Heritage auction win for me. I mean, besides Maxima, I mean, it's a Panic in the Sky page, and we talked about this before, but
yeah,
I mean, Panic in the Sky is probably, you know, one of my favorite Superman sagas. You know, like they were really steering Superman back in a direction to be sort of the, you know, the general of the Justice League, or, you know, however you want to put that for lack of a better term. And, you know, it was almost like a huge giant DC crossover that was self-contained within the Triangle era Superman books. And, you know, it involves Warworld and Brainiac and, of course, Maxima and Drega and outer space and all that stuff, and gladiatorial combats and the whole 9 yards. And then if you were a fan of any DC character at that time, you know, they had Batman and Nightwing and Gangbuster and all those guys on the home front doing the, you know, punching out aliens on Earth. And then you had like Superman and Deathstroke and Captain Marvel and Orion and, you know, whoever going out and, you know, fighting the good fight in outer space and taking it to War World and all that kind of stuff. And I think this was kind of like the precursor to that run of Justice League that I got that page from, that I kind of liked, where they were trying to steer it back in that direction of, oh yeah, Superman, at least from my little kid perspective. You know, I grew up on Super Friends. I was used to Superman being in charge of the Justice League, and for the longest time, especially in that you know, the post-crisis era, you know, they very much wanted to isolate Superman. Sure, he teamed up with everybody. He was there when people needed him, but he wasn't going to be an official member of the Justice League, especially not the Bwahaha League or whatever, right? And so I think when that run kind of wound down, then they kind of turned it around and kind of made him the, you know, actual bona fide member of the Justice League. But like this page in particular, I mean, you know, it's cool because, you know, you've got Brainiac there in the cloak. I think this was also kind of a return to greatness for Brainiac too, because I think, you know, they kind of made him that sideshow gimmick guy, Milton Fine. Like, you know, he wasn't quite as awesome as Brainiac had been, you know, in the past. I think that particular reimagining maybe fell a little short, and I think this too was a return to his greatness. He had his skull ship back. You know, he basically was running Warworld at this point. Like, it really made him, you know, a fantastic big bad in terms of everything. And you know, and the fact that they, you know, I guess I'd say reintroduced Maxima, or at least put her in a position where it was kind of precarious. She showed up with the quote unquote bad guys, which interestingly enough, Supergirl was a part of at that point, because she was kind of, you know, mind controlled, manipulated by Brainiac, right? So like when they do that, I think it's like a Bogdanov 4-shot splash of like Brainiac, Maxima, Drega, and Supergirl, like they're the quote unquote bad guy team that the heroes need to fight against, right? But I mean, it was setting up Maxima to make that heel to face turn, you know, that she'd eventually, you know, help them out at the final stretch of the battle, and then she'd become a member of the Justice League. So this is, you know, I think it's important for a lot of reasons, you know, the Panic in the story in general. And this is, you know, ostensibly like a fun example that I was able to buy at an auction early on, you know, and was something where I could, you know, as people are apt to say in this hobby, you know, I mean, I don't know if I'd ever scratch the Panic in the Sky itch. I'm sure if I saw other examples from it, I'd certainly be tempted or go for them. But I mean, I am certainly happy that I can say I own a number of pages from Panic in the Sky. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, and you're very lucky to, you know, because as you know, these Panic in the Sky pages, they never come up.
Not a lot, right? I mean, there's certainly stuff where you have these mental ideas in your head of, oh, I'd like that, and then you very rarely ever see them come up. And yeah, Brainiac does kind of look like Shadow Weaver, Tom. I agree.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I think it was TJ. Hey TJ, if you're still there, I didn't want to forget you. Earlier, you had posted this. You had posted the question. Geez, it was right after. It was right after. Right after we had showed the Action Comics page with Green Lantern and Superman as president. And you asked a question. Let me see if I'm rewinding real quick. Let's see if I can get it. Let me see. So it was Madcap. But let me see where we what. Okay, so it was right before the Madcap. So let me see if you remember what I'm talking about, because it was I skipped it on purpose so we can ask the question later. But if you're there listening and you remember what I'm talking about, you asked me about it. You said that this happened right at the time that something or other. Okay, ABC used it as a promo. Okay, Maxima Wannabe. Let me see what you guys are talking about here. Cyclops. Okay, Cyclops is the second one. So it's after these comments. Hold on. Madcap. Okay, everybody talking about Madcap. I don't know, TJ, but if you know what I'm talking about, you posted a question. I didn't get to it right away, and I did want to address it because I had a question to you in return about it.
Oh, he just posted. He said he mentioned that Armageddon was one of the first series ruined by the internet, which I think what he means is like the the ending that Captain Atom was going to be Monarch was spoiled, so then they changed it to be Hank from Hawk and Dove, right? So
one of the first, that's right. So that's what he said, but what that threw me, because wasn't that 1991? That's that.
I think he's just using it as a euphemism. I mean, basically what happened was the trades, like it got out, it was spoiled. I mean, there was, unless you want to go into the history of the internet, which I don't want to do, which is like in 1976 and all this other garbage. But I know what you're saying. The internet as we know it was not
the World Wide Web is the way to put it. Really,
it was it was not a thing. So, but it was spoiled, right? Like people knew. I forget if it was like that it was spoiled at like shows or I don't remember the exact story, but somehow it got out to the point where DC felt like they actually needed to literally change the ending.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, TJ. I appreciate you chiming in with that again. I didn't want to forget. So, all right, let's go check out the next piece, everybody. And Derek, you mentioned at a time when they weren't taking Brainiac too seriously. So that's a good segue for this next piece. Check it out.
Oh, yeah.
Ed Hannigan. I love this one.
Yeah. I mean, Ed Hannigan designed this this costume, or whatever you want to call it, this armor, this version of Brainiac. I mean, to me, this is the Superpowers Brainiac. I grew up on Superpowers toys. Like, I loved the Brainiac with the kick action and all this other kind of stuff. I guess another thing, this probably taught me to pay more attention to like what was missing from a page, because some of those, you could see some of the caption boxes had long since, fallen off.
Yeah.
You could see where the glue stains are and all that kind of stuff. I think this was an auction I was fortunate enough to just put a high bid on and walk away. And the only reason why I think I walked away from the auction was because I probably had to put in the bid like right before I was leaving from work, and then on the freeway ride home, hope that I didn't get outbid. And by the time I got home, it turned out I did not. What was interesting was there were 2 pages that were up on this, and I put the same high bid in, and I think the second page I didn't win because someone else put in the same high bid in like a millisecond before. You know how that works, like where it's like it was like the same exact bid, but I didn't win it or whatever. But I did.
Yeah,
I did win this page.
It's the same bid, but he had put his in before you put yours. So he gets precedent.
Yeah. So that person got the precedent or whatever. But yeah, but yeah, this page, I mean, it's interesting. It's a Titans page, right? But I guess, Wolfman kind of created and crafted the new backstory for this version of Brainiac. So I think he's expanding on it, making him a bigger threat, having him destroy civilizations instead of just shrinking them and capturing them, like that whole kind of thing. And so, I mean, it's certainly a cool example of Brainiac, and that was something that was on my short list of I guess goals, like the things that I yes, I absolutely should have added the 11 cents.
Hey, what's up, Gil? Gil in the house. Hey, and he's asking, any thoughts on replacing the missing stats? I mean, personally, it's not financially worth it.
Yeah, I considered it at one point, but I think I'm probably just gonna leave it the way it is. Also, like, this is larger art. I mean, I don't know that it necessarily. I guess it's twice up. I mean, or maybe it's not twice up.
Oh no, it's large art, but it's not twice up. No.
Yeah, it's bigger. Like where I have to stick it in a bigger portfolio or whatever. So, but it's I don't know. It's something I thought about, but I don't know that I have the inclination to do that.
Yeah, that's what I figured as much. Yeah, coincidence, random, John. And Rick says the original Matrix Sentinel. Better to use colored. Man, oh, you guys are such clowns. That's what she said. Nice. Okay. But yeah, very cool page, and it's interesting because there's no Titans on it. It's from a Titans annual. There's no Titans on it, but not only do you get these great shots of Brainiac, but his nemesis Superman's there in a couple of panels as well. So it really feels like an actual Superman page from the era. Like
and also, I mean, it's not like that version of Brainiac appeared in many issues of anything. It was like he was in some issues of Action Comics, he was in this annual, and then I think he was in the Superpowers miniseries, and I think then after that it jumped into Crisis and everything rebooted. I mean, I could be missing a few things in between that, but it's not, I mean, if you want published Superpowers Brainiac, as I'm calling him, it's not like there's a whole lot of options either, right? So
yeah, for sure. Just helping Peter here, wanting to know how we stick down the loose balloons and captions. Yeah, non-acidic stick glue. It's not all non-acidic, so make sure it says something.
I will say if I had if they were loose and included with the page, I probably would have done it. But this is how the page came, so I'm not
going to
recreate anything or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so excellent. Let me get off of that one. Yeah, that's a great Brainiac page that you picked up for sure. Was that an auction purchase?
Yeah, that was a Comic Connect auction.
Okay. Finally get a chance to look, and it's over. I'm sure. Whale semen is excellent glue too. Is it really? And you know that's for a fact, do you? Okay. All right. Perfect segue. That's a perfect segue, that piece. I felt I wanted to show this, not only because it goes in well with it, but because it's not comic book art. It is comic
strip art. Okay, cool. And I guess speaking to my point, like this is one of those rare examples. It's funny, like most stuff I usually would target and know about before I went after the art, but actually this was kind of a learning curve for me because I didn't really, I mean, I knew there were Superman newspaper strips, but I didn't realize that there was this, series in the 80s and everything. And Kupperberg has like a blog spot with like all the strips that he did back in the day. And so while I was bidding on this, I went and found like, his site that had like all the strips posted from the past. And this is kind of fun because I got to be honest, like the story is kind of hilarious. Like I think Brainiac ends up coming to Earth and he befriends a young girl and like helps save the Earth from other aliens and stuff. So it's kind of goofball or whatever, but it's like I still kind of like it just because it has this version of Brainiac. I like this strip having like Superman kind of trailing him on the view screen. Like I think it's cool to get one of these strips where it has Superman and the villain I was after. And just the fact that, like I said, I do feel like that those superpower era looks for, say, Luthor and Brainiac, like, you know, when compared to other versions of Brainiac, they have a limited lifespan, a limited window of published images. So, you know, I guess I would say if I ever saw like a really cool Warsuit Luthor strip from this, like I would be interested in it, right? Like, but this one came up. I'm trying to remember. I don't remember what auction this was from. Like, but it was an auction, I think. But I'm trying to remember. I got to be honest. I've forgotten which auction house this was won on, but it was something I saw and just thought, oh, this is cool. I love this version of Brainiac. Like, let me go for it. And then I guess for as far as firsts go, I think I want to say this is my first, and I think it's my only comic strip piece of art. I think that's right. So it's I guess a way of me kind of, checking things off my list of firsts, in terms of the hobby. That's something where, maybe that applies to, what Cab said about the variety. Like it's like sometimes I go, ooh, I've never done one of those before. I've never done a comic strip art piece before. Like let me try to go for that.
Right. Yeah, for sure. No, it's cool. Yeah, it's a cool piece. Good character selection. Some nice imagery on it. Outer space.
Outer space is always cool by me. Like I love space stuff. I love that version of Brainiac ship goes through outer space. I love it when Superman is more sci-fi skewed. I think that's my preference. Just my personal.
He makes an appearance on it too, so at least you have him too. It's not just Brainiac. So yeah, it's really cool. Cool. So this next piece that we're going to show everyone is another piece that I've talked about on these shows many times. The kind of art that fits my parameters of what I like to buy every now and then, which is like cheap art, like affordable, like lower end art that provides a lot of fun. So it provides a lot of value because I get so much fun out of it that, for let's say 100 or 200 or 250 or whatever, I feel it's one of those types of pieces that, I just get a lot of enjoyment for it. It costs me very little, and I love that. I wish I could get more of that. So that's what this next piece is. And I also you guys know, those of you who are regulars know that I also love coming of age stories, things like that, whether it's movies or in comics. And so that fits the whole, another parameter that fits that on this particular page. Check this out. And Derek, take it away and let us know why you bought this.
So this is a page from Action Comics. This is kind of like these were stories where they had a modern segment and kind of like a flashback to Clark's early Smallville days. And maybe to your point, one of the reasons why this was probably a cheap yet fun piece of art is panels 4, 6, and 8 are all stats. And I guess I don't know who does this kind of stuff, but it's interesting. I've bought a lot of Pascual Ferry's work, and in some cases I'll get the pages where there are no word balloons on it, and in other cases I'll get it where there's all these really nicely made stickers of the word balloons and everything. So I'm not really sure who instituted that, but it's very nicely and well done. But to your point, I mean, this was, a flashback to the Smallville days. I think it's very indicative of, when this came out, the Smallville TV series was airing on, whatever it was, the WB, the CW, whatever the hell it was called back then. And, WB. It was very much, I think, a way to have some version of corporate synergy, like so that, you know, maybe on the off chance some poor schmuck who liked Smallville picked up a Superman comic, they'd see like a familiar character, you know, they'd see like, oh, here's Clark and Lana, and it was kind of approximating that. I think you're going to find, I mean, I guess I'll just go into this here too. I think you're going to find, in addition to Maxima, I basically like every Superman girlfriend, let's say, other than Lois Lane. So this would fit with that you know, I was just lamenting missing out on a Lori Lamaris page, you know, at Comic Art Live or whatever. Like that's what I point to. It's like I do really like the girlfriends that are non-Lois related, and I guess I mean I think, you know, I mean obviously Smallville had what, Kirsten Crook or whatever, but like for me, like my growing up, Annette O'Toole, who played you know, Ma Kent on that show, like she was Lana Lang in Superman 3, and I think, you know, certainly when I was, you know, whatever, 7 years old or whenever the hell I watched Superman 3, like I mean, she was, I certainly was smitten with Annette O'Toole and everything. So I, you know, again, I think that extends to maybe some of that transitive nostalgia. I was reading these Superman books at the time as well. I mean, this is an era of Superman that I'm pretty fond of. I'd feel like, you know, maybe, you know, I know it's outside of that sort of beloved triangle era, but, you know, it was something that I guess I'd call it like the Y2K and beyond era. You know, they had like what was it, you know, Critical Condition and Emperor Joker and you know, Our World's at War, like Ending Battle, like just all these like storylines that I really liked reading for Superman. And I was a pretty faithful Wednesday Warrior around this time, you know, 2000 to 2003. You know, I was always going to the store every Wednesday, and certainly all the Superman books were on my my pickup list or my pull list, you know, whatever you want to call it and stuff. So I mean, I definitely read all these books at the time. So this is kind of like I guess I'd say this is like you know how like the joke is the Frodo guys, the hobbits, it's like when's second breakfast. I feel like this is like second nostalgia. It's like first nostalgia is like maybe when you first get into comics, but I feel like my early 20s, like when I was a Wednesday Warrior and I was going with some of my local buddies to comic stores in LA and Culver City and all that kind of stuff, like that I sort of consider like second nostalgia. And
sure.
Those pages and those books definitely fit within second nostalgia for sure.
Still very fond of that time in your early 20s.
Yeah, you're
no longer a kid, right? You're no longer a kid at that point, but like you said, what kept it exciting for you is that you were still like active, going in every week, you know, and checking everything out. Yeah, absolutely, for sure. That's for sure. That's always going to be a fun time. I would think for everybody, you know. Don't get Ruben started. What? Talking about his pull list? Don't worry, we won't. Wednesday Warrior, good term. It's been out there. Excellent. So yeah, a lot of fun, that page. I really like that. It's pages like that, you know. All right, so that will take us to another one that I picked for you, Tom. No, I didn't really pick it for you, Tom, but every time I pick one of these non-DC pages, I always think about you now, Tom. So this next piece is really cool. And excuse me. Hold on. What's this? Tom, what are you saying? She had the kid though, but I loved her.
He's talking about Annette O'Toole as
sorry.
In Superman.
Superman 3, Lana was sexy, but she had the kid though. Okay.
She had a son in that. So
that's right. Peter, why are you saying you don't get out much? Oh, you mean like out to the comic shops and stuff?
Yeah, I think he's talking about the Wednesday Warrior thing.
Being a Wednesday Warrior, yeah. Okay, excellent. So let us move along to this next piece. Check this one out, Tom, and everybody else. It's awesome. Check it out.
Yeah, so I kind of suspected this when I saw the show thumbnail that this would appear at some point. I mean, I don't know. Do you want me to tell the whole story about this page? Like the whole
I mean, like,
sorted,
don't make it go on for 10 minutes, you know?
but I mean the whole sorted story. Well, I mean, this was
If you can do it succinctly, I would say, yeah, why not? It's fun.
okay. I mean, this is a well, I'll talk about the good stuff first, and then maybe if we
Yeah.
get to it, we get to it. But this is a piece from the Joe Fixit miniseries, and I will say that these type of miniseries that Marvel has been releasing, I'd say as of late, maybe not anymore, but you know, they had a bunch of them, including this one. And I think they were specifically targeting maybe my demographic. You know, they're hailing back to a certain era of comics that readers of my vintage, let's say, like to read. And so the idea was they would package it as, you know, this is a story that took place in Marvel's past. They got Peter David back to write the Hulk, obviously, because he was the writer when these Joe Fixit style stories were going on in the comics at the time. My earliest Hulk comic was that I was buying with my own money was Hulk 347, and that was where Joe Fixit was first introduced. So it's it's the Hulk as a Vegas enforcer. Nobody really knows he's the Hulk. They think he's this mob enforcer named Joe Fixit. So this miniseries, plays between the lines of those issues. Like it takes place, somewhere in the middle of those. Has Kingpin coming in to muscle in on Joe Fixit's boss's turf. So it turns into this kind of gang war. You can see Hydra Man, Rhino. There were a bunch of, villains that Kingpin had on his side. Spider-Man happens to be in Vegas as well. And so he gets in on the action and is teaming up with the Hulk. Maybe to your point, this is more bang for my buck. I not only get a splash, but I get a double splash because Hydra Man is splashing the Hulk, and it's a splash page. I get Joe
Nice.
Fixit as the Hulk, and I also get Spider-Man. Right, like so. There's two Marvel characters for the price of one page. So all those things are pretty great. And the fact that this is kind of what I was referring to as a retro series. I mean, it's modern, but again, it evokes that sort of transitive property of nostalgia and stuff. So. I mean, I guess the short version is this was one of the final pieces picked up from Cadence before their fall, and there was some hijinks that went on, and the piece is slightly damaged, but not so much. There's kind of like a little tear on it, and so I did have a period of kind of not being happy with that. And I thought maybe I wouldn't kind of see resolution from that. But eventually I talked to, I'd say one of the better reps that were not responsible for the ultimate fall. And they were able to compensate me for the damage that occurred.
Okay, at least
I think I think it was just poorly packed is all. And so I don't know, there was a period where I got a little emotional about it and was kind of like, I think I'm going to sell all my stuff from Cadence. But then I kind of thought better of it and worked out this kind of compromise. And again, the fact that you picked it and that it's a cool page and that I really don't have any representation other than this of Joe Fixit and of I guess Spider-Man with the eyes just right. I cannot complain that this is something that is in my collection.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, it's beautiful. So, why not? Great. Not only great modern art, but again, it's retro because it's a flashback to a pretty fun period in certainly in Hulk's history with the whole Joe Fixit thing, So yeah, I thought it was really fun and really nice by nice art by Cinar. So yeah, it was cool to see that you got it. Can't be Hulk. Pants aren't torn. Maybe Hulk should have worn an eye patch to not be recognized. Exactly. Let me see. It works for Clark Kent, like I said earlier. All right. Very cool. Very nice. Okay. We will lead from that one, and we will go into another IP, which I actually grew up with. So I have a fondness for, although I grew up with the originals. These are not the originals, but I did watch some of this stuff as well. The reason I picked this, I've got to say, I picked this because I just love the. I was vaguely. I remember these artists from a certain time period when they were working a little bit more regularly in the industry. Never thought anything about either the inker, the penciler, or the inker. They were nothing, to write home about. They're just kind of like, they were there, whatever. They did their job. But together on this series, when I never, series I never thought existed, I wasn't aware about, and when I saw this in your gallery, I was like, holy shit, these guys, beautiful, just beautiful artwork. Could be some of the nicest, maybe my favorite, artistically speaking, art of the evening. So check this out.
Oh yeah, this is something I think I was really fortunate to pick up, and I guess by coincidence, this is something that that our buddy Duke Fleed was able to turn me on to. He was selling some Star Trek art, and he kind of knew that I liked Star Trek from probably, I think, from a lot of my Facebook posts or whatever. I think at the time I was doing maybe a rewatch, or I forget what, but I think it was just plainly obvious that I had like some kind of I did have a strong fandom for Star Trek. And then in addition, I think what drew me to these in particular were they were team ups. This was a it was a comic book thing. Malibu was publishing Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and DC Comics was publishing Star Trek The Next Generation, and they worked things out so that they could have a 4-issue crossover miniseries. And I forget how it goes, but it's like, a DC published and produced 2 issues of the 4 issues, and Malibu produced 2 issues of the 4 issues. And the thing about this that I think is great is just, I mean, these are just fan fucking tastic like likenesses, like there's no mistaking that is Jonathan Frakes as William Riker, right? And everyone on there, right? It's like you've got Kira and Odo and Troy and Jadzia and everything, so you've got, and I guess that's Data there looking out from the back of his head or whatever. But like, it's just, there's some great stuff going on there. And again, I'm a sucker for team ups, and this was one of those things where, anytime they did that, even with any Star Trek stuff, they had DC made it was the Modala Imperative, and they had those miniseries where it was like the original cast and then the new cast, and then you had like old Spock and old McCoy hanging out with the Next Generation crew, like all that kind of stuff. Like I always got super duper excited about. And so when Duke had messaged me about some of the Star Trek pages he was selling, when I saw that he had these, I was just like, well, would you sell these? And he said yes. And so I was like, I was pretty happy. And I don't think at that point I had any 2-page spreads either. So and again, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I get lazy with it. If I win them from the auction houses and they already have some kind of scan of a 2-page spread, I do tend to just use the one that already exists. This is one I scan myself, but I'm never quite happy with my joinings of things.
Yeah, your stitching work needs a lot of work, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it never looks right. If you got rid of that line in the middle, it would look awful. Like it wouldn't be lined up. So
no, because right.
Yeah.
No, you did the right thing, because by putting it like that, it if you were put it together, right? If you were to put it together, it would look, I guess, worse, you could say, because you would be missing. The problem is that space, the width of the white line, is the amount of artwork that you missed. You're missing in the scan. So that's why
the whole drawing is scanned. It just doesn't line
No.
up right. Yeah.
No. There's a little bit missing, which is why to line it up, because you actually have it lined up properly now. But that's the problem, is that you're actually, if you look at it carefully again, you're going to see you're missing probably 1/8 of an inch of art in your scan.
Well, the problem is you can't scan it all on the same side either. So you have to do this thing where you flip it, and I don't know. Anyway, it was a pain. I don't like joining this stuff, and so I mean, even that Brainiac one was something I had to join because it was. I know it wasn't twice up, but it was certainly oversized. And,
Longer,
that is something I've learned about myself. I if I can't just put in the page into an oversized scanner and scan it, I do find that tends to annoy me. So, but and what's funny is you could even see on the publish thing, right? It cuts off stuff because of the joining of the the pages with the staples and stuff. But I mean, but I mean, as far as like the page itself goes, like again, like I just think the likenesses are so dead on. I mean, I think that's one of those things where when you commission someone to do a likeness, you are damn lucky if you get anything that's comparatively close to this, right? But in this case, this was work for hire. They did the work, and it just, I mean, it just looks so good to me. So
yeah, it's beautiful. I'm so happy to see that. I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, in the early, so I guess around 1990, when DC took over the Star Trek license, and they started putting out I think 3 or 4 Star Trek books, and they had Jerome K. Moore doing the covers. They weren't all hits, but boy, when he was on, oh my God, was he ever on? His style was beautiful, and his likenesses were incredible. So I love that stuff, and that's what this reminded me of. I was like, oh, Star Trek, and I was like, oh, is it a Jerome K. Moore interior issue? And I looked at it, I'm like, what? Gordon Purcell and Terry Pallot? What? Wow, they did an amazing job, Yeah, so yeah, really, really, really amazing. And everybody, if you like this piece, be sure to go to Derek's gallery. He's got another piece from the same series, same same
miniseries. Yeah,
same miniseries. Yeah, another one. So check that out. Yeah, really, really cool. Okay, let's see let me see. If one likeness is off, the rest are questioned. Yeah, but you can't always be perfect. It's tough to do a thing where that you're expected to capture the likenesses in every single panel after panel. It's not easy. Not a fun way to work, to be honest. A lot of the guys who have had to do that have said privately, like, it's not a lot of fun. Welcome to the Sucky Stitchers Club. I'm not only a member, I'm the president. Nice. It scares me sometimes when he starts talking about the subtlety of scan alignments. Why? I don't get it, man. Moore is always on Facebook posting. Great guy. Yeah, I know. I've seen him there quite a lot. I ended up getting, interestingly enough, not that maybe you would care that much, Tom, but I ended up getting last year 3 pages of a 5-page sequence from a New Titans issue from the Grummett run. It was one of the issues where Grummett only did a few pages in the issue, and some other artists had to work on it as well. And Jerome K. Moore did a 5.
Yeah.
You remember that, Derek?
That's at the end of Titan's Hunt, right? Where isn't that
right? Yes,
it's where he kicks the shit. Him and Deathstroke get into like a big fucking fight, right? It's cool. Yes. It's very cool.
Yes,
very cool.
Yeah. It was right after. So Titan's Hunt ends with 84. In 85, in issue 85, it's like the prologue where the first 5 pages are by Grummett, and they're at the funeral.
Right? Yeah.
Right. They do the 5-page funeral scene, and then the rest of it is a bunch of different artists. And yeah, there's a 5-page Nightwing versus Deathstroke sequence by Jerome K. Moore, and I was like, oh my God, I loved it since the day it came out. And yeah, my friend John actually out well, not quite where you are. He's in Southern Cali. But he's he was born here in Montreal and moved, as a kid, moved to the States. He had them for decades, and I always admired them. And then finally one day last year, he reached out. He's like, "Hey, I'm ready to part with them. Are you ready? Whatever." And I ended up doing a deal to get the 3. And so happy.
It's a great fight, like between the two of them. Like it's emotionally charged. Like it's a good set of pages.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have to post that at some point. More is okay. Sorry, Purcell did some good Star Trek work. Yeah, they're judging by this. You can see for sure. As long as you get 7 of 9. Oh, I only started watching that show because of 7 of 9. Well, I'm sure a lot of male viewers. Likeness is correct. The rest don't matter. Nice one, Rick. And apparently, I don't know. I can't, because the Facebook is confusing me now, because all this AI, the artificial intelligence images that everybody seems to be playing around with now, I never know if some of these posts on Facebook are real or fake.
Are real or if they're fake. I see.
Like they put advertisements, but they look like, sometimes I know they're fake because I look carefully and I read a little bit. And then I see that they're saying, this is what a fan would want it to be if it existed or whatever. But they're doing all these AI posters of like promotional poster of like an upcoming TV show or movie or whatever. And I'm seeing some lately with 7 of 9 as the lead character in a Star Trek show. And I don't know if it's fake or if it's actually happening or what.
If they have 6 fingers, then it's fake. There was some talk after the Picard season 3 wrapped up of them doing a series with the crew from that, that 7 of 9 was a part of, with Picard's son or whatever. But I have to be honest, I haven't followed the scuttlebutt after that. So, I mean, it may still be in development. I don't know for sure.
Okay.
Oh, yes, what Carl was saying. Yeah. There was a rumored spinoff.
Yeah. Like I said,
so it must still be rumored at this point. Right?
Okay, I guess it's probably one of those fan things of what it might look like if it was actually happening. I hate when they do that. Like you get people excited for nothing. What are you doing that for? I love the Star Trek DPS. Yeah, I'm glad. I'm happy to show it. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Star Trek Legacy. That lady had an attractive physique. She sure did. 7 of 9. She's more like a 10 on 10. All right.
7 of 9 was well rendered.
Very, very well rendered. Let's move on to the next one, everybody. And we go to, let's see, Star Trek, and then we go to this one.
It's kind of reassuring that this is the page you picked.
Really?
Because it is because I'm gonna be honest, like this was an entire issue that I bought. Like I bought the whole book.
I saw it.
They didn't have the cover, but I'm gonna be honest, the only reason why I bought the whole issue was because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because of panel 6.
Yeah,
like, that is like the definitive like Lady Shiva image. There to me, like there's no better image that exists of Lady Shiva. It's like she's like Richard Dragon is calling her up for a booty call, but the booty call involves going out and whooping a bunch of ass. And like I just this is the best Lady Shiva image there is. So that's why. That's. I mean, if I had to, if I was in dire straits and I had to sell off all the pages, like this is the one I would keep because this is my favorite page from the entire book.
Yeah, not surprising. I loved it too. The truth is, I saw. First of all, I was never, quite a. Not that I wasn't an Estrada fan. It's just I never really paid too much attention to when I'd see his DC 70s pages or whatever. But I have to say, when I started looking through all the pages, I was really mind blown because I'd never noticed it before. And maybe it's because in other comics that I had seen, maybe he hadn't been doing this. But in this comic, I was really realizing how, wow, he was emulating purposely Alex Toth.
Oh yeah,
said,
for sure, for sure. Like,
yeah.
that's kind of why I love like Estrada on Estrada, because I feel like that's totally what he was going for, and that's, I mean, that's kind of, I mean, I don't know, maybe this is another, you know, more bang for your buck thing. It's like maybe I couldn't get Alex Toth, you know, like that great Black Canary, you know, stories that he's done. Like maybe I couldn't get that, but I can get this, and this is giving me that same vibe, that same feel. The dangerous, sexy lady who can kick ass, you know, a bunch of kind of moody atmosphere, you know, like the kind of, I don't know, it's kind of noirish in its own way, but like a 70s noir more than
especially
than a 40s
the first
or 50s noir, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah, especially the first couple of panels, I feel, you know. But yeah, the reason I ultimately went with this, because like I said, the other pages, there were so many other pages that I felt compositionally were so tough. Like I was like, wow, I want to show, I'm going to put 2 pages on the same slide so I can show a couple of pages and just show how tough like it is, and it's really well done. And I was like, but I got the Lady Shiva page. I'm like, and I know Derek loves this one. I'm like, which one should I, you know, like, in the end, I was like, most people here don't really care about Alex Toth anyways. So I'm like, they may not give a crap if I show them some Toth-like artwork. I figured, okay, I'll go with the Shiva thing, you know, whatever.
No, I think you're dead on. I mean, I thought the same thing, you know, like, I mean, that's what it evokes to me. I mean, I care about Alex Toth. Like, I mean, like I said, I think that those adventure comics with Black Canary, oh man, those are beautiful.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, that's one of those things where that's what I automatically thought of. I mean, that, besides the fact that I love that, you know, Lady Shiva panel or whatever, like that's the other reason why I kind of, it's funny because I know there's a lot of Richard Dragon pages where everybody, the selling point is, oh, well, Wally Wood did the inks. And I'm just kind of like, well, okay, but I mean, and I know that Estrada on Estrada is cheaper, but I like it better. Like, and maybe I'm blasphemous, but that's why I like it better, because it does remind me of Toth, and I prefer that style, I guess. Like, that's the style that makes me go ooh and awe. So that's why I went after it.
And not that I want to start an argument with anybody, but that part of his life, Wally Wood was not having a good life, and his work suffered. That was, you know, that second half of the 70s period at DC Comics. You can't even really tell, like, if it was credit to anybody else, you'd believe it. Like, it doesn't look like the primo Wally Wood that you know. You saw him at EC Comics and some other stuff that he did in the black and white magazines. You know, it you know, like I said, he was suffering at the time, and it was just so his work wasn't great. So it's not like you can really look at those pages and be like, oh wow, you know. It's more for like advertising when you're trying to sell, like, hey, Wally Wood inks on this one, you know, from a collector standpoint, you don't really see anything special out of the Wood ink pages anyway. So that's just my honest opinion anyways. So what do we got here? Power Girl Wood inks, said Marcus. Okay. There's a Toth Black Canary page in next weekend's Heritage Signature Auction. Only a little more than 28K, and it could be yours. Thank you.
Chump change.
Whip out the credit card. Just take it. No problem. No, charge it. I have a Weird War Tales commission by Estrada, says Sean, and a Christmas card or 2 that he sent me 25 years ago. That's fun. That's really cool. Estrada and Ernie Colon was tough to tell apart at times. Yeah, interesting. All right, let's keep it rolling. And for this next one, speaking of putting 2 pages on one to show a little bit more art, that's what I did here, everybody. I figured Derek only had 2 of these anyways. Might as well put them, and they seem to look good together. So check it out. Super popular artist anyways. You'll love it for that reason alone. Check it out.
Okay. Yeah. These are my only examples of McFarlane I have, thanks to Mr. Scott Wingo, who parted with them graciously.
Scotty Wingo.
Yeah. He was selling a lot of the non-Spidey related McFarlane art back in those
Yeah.
days, and
I remember.
I was helping him write up descriptions for his Infinity Ink pages because he had no idea like who was on them or what the hell they were about and everything. And I just had fun looking at them and remembering the stories and sending him stuff about, you know, what those what, you know, who was on the pages, the characters and all that kind of stuff. And he you know, I think his intent was to maybe you know, sell me an Infinity Ink page or something like that. And I had asked him, well, are you going to sell these Invasion pages? And he said he was, and super like generous, like, you know, just very nice to me. Like I can't say enough about how nice this was. Like this was not, you know. Anyway, I'll just say thanks to Scott, because this is not something I probably could have afforded if it went to auction or anything like that. But
Yeah.
These were pages from Invasion 1. Invasion 2 and 3 were spinner rack comics for me, so they were super important. I am fond of saying that Invasion introduced me to the wider DC universe, basically outside of the Super Friends. Like I grew up on Super Friends. I knew who all the characters were in Super Friends and Superpowers and all that kind of stuff. But this is the first time I was like, who's the Spectre? Who's Starman? You know, who's Blue Beetle? Who's Mr. Miracle? You know, like there were all these characters that I knew nothing about and was, you know, very much drawn to and everything. And so these pages mean a lot to me. It is, again, like you're saying, a perennially fan favorite artist. So that, you know, again, massive capage on this, you know, on both of them. You know, it evokes a certain era, at least the one on the right. It's the, you know, the JLI, the Bwahaha era. It's Maxwell Lord and Martian Manhunter in the Justice League International Embassy. I guess to people's point about paste ups, these surprint paste ups, those are the ones that are kind of like the little energy effects for the Lords of Order and Chaos. When Scott sent me those pages, he did warn me. He's like, I have them all. They're in a baggie, but they were all loose. And I made the decision to use, like I think you were talking about earlier in the chat, I used, you know, acid-free glue, and I did glue them all back on. And I just wanted it like I guess it was, and I didn't want a bunch of loose, you know, I guess surprint paste ups that were, you know, I don't know, dangling at the bottom of some baggie or whatever. Like I just wanted them back on the page. So I did take that step in terms of this. I don't know if people think that's terrible or great. Like I don't really care. I did what I did. I'm pretty fond of the Spectre page because I totally like swiped that image and drew it myself. You know, I guess that's another weird lane of collecting that most people wouldn't be aware of, because I'm the only person who knows what images I would, you know, trace and swipe and recreate from comics that I liked. But I know that I, you know, drew a picture of the Spectre that looked exactly like that side panel. And so because of that, like that was another reason why this page meant a lot to me, in addition to the, you know, the nostalgia of you know, early DC comics that I was getting into at the time. Like this is pretty much my sweet spot of DC comics, like this whole era of characters. So
well, it's fantastic. And yeah, a great choice of a pair of pages that, like I said, they look great together. So
thanks.
Do you by chance have them in a portfolio side by side?
I probably do. Although depending on, I might have them not side by side, but I might have them in the same sleeve, because I have those Itoya polyglass ones that I can, you know, swap pages out if I
with the button.
I think I keep the two of them in the same sleeve, right? So that if I choose to migrate them or show them off, that it's not like, oh wait, I'm taking one without the other or something.
Yeah, and gotcha. Yeah, no, great pair of pages right there. So yeah, great acquisition. And you see, Scott, I know you only drop by once in a blue moon, but if you ever watch this, you see how much our friend Derek praised you. So there you go. You're a good dude. You know your way around the green crayon.
It's true because he's looking at the additional images in my gallery because I posted the image of the Spectre that I did, right, with the crayon and whatever,
the one you drew as a kid,
the colored pencils, whatever I was using at the time. So yeah,
that's fun. Okay, cool. All right, let's move on from the Todd Meister and go on to the next piece. This next piece is from an IP we've shown already. It's the second and I believe last piece from this IP. You're probably going to wonder, not only all of you, but you too, Derek, why the hell did you choose this one out of all these great pages I got? Well, I'll tell you why. I chose this upcoming one because when I saw this, I believe, I don't even care about these characters. I don't know who the hell they are, but I just saw the art and I said, shit, I may not know who these characters are, but this artist, whoever he is on a technical level way more advanced than pretty much all the other artists that you have art from this IP. So I, for that reason alone, chose it. Let us all know a little something about this piece right here.
Oh, quick! Everybody hoard your EJ Sue Transformers pages. This was another. This was another thing. I bet you can see the join too. This was terrible to scan.
Yeah, all right.
But this was. I think this was one of the first covers I ever bought. It's a. It was a variant retail incentive cover for Last Bot Standing. This I believe a lot of this was like colored pencil, basically. So the artist, I do have a lot of interior pages from them, and then this was the cover, and I guess my buddy Mike, he sometimes reviews advanced copies of the Transformers books because we all kind of met on a message board and it was related to Transformers. So I guess the moderator of that message board, because it was a Transformers related board, he would get advanced preview copies of books to read from IDW. And he told me, he's like, oh, dude, you're going to like this because he knows, again, I love all the Transformers movie characters. Probably my favorite Transformers character ever is Hot Rod or Rodimus, right? He becomes Rodimus Prime. And this basically, he was like, oh, there's a new series coming out. And he tells me it's going to be like Old Man Rodimus, basically comparing it to Old Man Wolverine, that run of comics and everything. And so, I mean, this is set in like the far, far, far flung future. Rodimus is like one of the oldest living Transformers that are left. And he's kind of on this kind of Wild West-ish alien planet and everything. You wouldn't know it from looking at it, but you see that wagon in the front that kind of has the little tent and everything. That's like a sail. That is actually what Rodimus transforms into to stay in disguise. So you're following the adventures of these kind of basically settlers of this kind of Wild West region. And this kid that's in the front and everything, and this kind of Barnum and Bailey ringmaster guy and everything. And by the end of it, the wagon basically transforms into Rodimus, and he's kind of torn up and beat up and everything like that. I guess it could work for any continuity of Transformers. Like it's so far into the future
because it's out, because it's out of continuity, basically, right?
Right. It's kind of like it's also kind of like the end story, like when they tell those last stories of the character, it's so far out into the future that it doesn't really matter like what came before it. I inquired about the cover, I think, on Twitter. And he pointed me to a gentleman who was his rep at the time, and I was able to arrange to purchase the cover. However, it's interesting because I've been to many of these after this, but I think it was 2021, so I still wasn't quite ready to venture out into different locations yet. I think it was in LA or Burbank, the Transformers Con, the TF Con, and I've been to like a bunch of them since then, and met him in person and bought some pages from him in person and all that kind of stuff. But at the time, he asked, he said, "Can I hold on to it for a little while so I can bring it with me to the show?" You know, just to have to like promote the comic and promote it in the background and all that kind of stuff. And I said, "Oh yeah, sure. Like, you know, keep it as long as you want and whatever." And then after he did that show, like sometime shortly after that, they shipped it to me. It's a much larger piece, and it's kind of on a, I don't want to say it's on it's just on a thicker board. It's not super hard, but it's not just Bristol, let's say. It's to hold the colors and everything it is. I've contemplated, like, I don't often frame things, but because of the nature of it makes it sticking in a portfolio a little precarious, because it doesn't slide in quite, you know what I mean? Like it bumps it up just because it's a little bit here. You know, so I have contemplated framing that, but I haven't actually done it yet. But again, being that, you know, my focus that I tried to explain is of those movie characters, you know, like getting a cover that had Rodimus on it, like, was kind of a coup for me. Like it was one of those things where I was super happy about it. And I'm pretty sure it was one of the earliest covers that I had bought. And I guess it kind of taught me the ways of, like, I don't know, scouring Instagram for new stuff. Like if I really wanted to try to get something, you should try to get ahead of the actual comic being released, you know? And because my friend was reading the advanced copy, you know, it put the idea in my head to contact before the issue even came out, and that whole kind of thing. So just, I mean, I guess I'm probably not competing with anybody for a bunch of modern stuff these days anyway, but if that's something that you're looking to do, that's, I guess, a tip, a trick of the trade. Like if you want something new, ask for it before you even see it. You know what I mean? Like, or ask for it before the book ever comes out, right? Like, because you're more likely to get an answer or lock something down. Because by the time you think about it, like by the time you actually read the book, which it kind of goes against me. I like to read it and know that I like it. So I was a little nervous about that, because I was like, oh man, what if I buy this cover and I read this comic and I think the comic sucks? Like, what then? You know, but I did like the story, and I did like the comic. So, you know.
Well, that's good. That's always important, you know. And not necessarily always important, but it's better when that happens, you know.
Yeah.
Antoine is curious. Maybe is it on the back? Does it say Crescent board? Maybe it's Crescent board.
I'd have to pull it out and look at it, but I don't recall it saying anything, to be honest. Like I don't think there was anything, even if it was translucent or, you know, like something that you could sort of like feel like indented into the board or something. I don't think there was anything like that. Like, so, and there certainly wasn't any writing on it, but it was just a tiny bit thicker than Bristol, you know.
Okay. We have a new person in the chat. What is up, Mr. Figure Drawing? I don't know if you think I'm smart. I am assuming you're talking about Derek, and he sounds smart. But welcome, and lovely to have you here. Are you a collector?
I'm guessing he's just talking about my tip on how to get
new art tip,
before it comes out, type thing, right?
Very possible. But yeah, let us know if you've been here before. If not, let me know how you found the channel. How'd you get here? Appreciate you tuning in. And so let us go on to the next piece, everyone. And for this next piece, it's real simple. I chose this one because I knew that this comes from something that is near and dear to your heart, Derek, from a childhood nostalgia, nothing else, and figured there's no way I cannot include this as part of the selection, you know? So, let's check it out. Here we go.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I mean, I will say, I think this is the type of page that Matt Kennedy probably thinks is garbage, but I fucking love it. Like, so I don't really give a shit. But yeah, I grew up on superpowers. I love the toys. I think it's super cool. And then specifically, like, I read issues of this at the Union City Library, and then issues 2 and issues 3 I bought directly from the spinner rack. I think issue 2 was like the first maybe DC comic I bought with my own money. So like super duper nostalgic. This was like the third wave of Superpowers toys. So I guess it's what Tur. I never know how to say it.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, me too. I always say the exact same thing as you. Is it Tur or is it Tur?
I should go back and watch. It should be probably like that Legion of Superheroes cartoon, like however they say it is probably the right way. But I can never remember. But then of course this was the Mr. Freeze. It was great because Mr. Freeze and Tyr were like they were like 48 hours. They were like Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy or something. They were like they were stuck together, like without like really wanting to be stuck together, because they got embroiled in this whole, ordeal with Darkseid and the Fourth World characters and everything. And like this was back when I was NFG, like I didn't know anything, so I thought maybe Tyr was like another apocalyptic guy. Like I didn't realize like he was like a Legion of Superheroes villain or anything like that. But and of course I do, this version of Darkseid, like I adore too. Like I think, I grew up, I had that action figure, like my dad bought the action figure for me, so it means a lot. And so I like the little light piping and stuff like that in the eyes. And so I guess this page evokes all of those things. It's like I read this comic. I really, I know it's a tie-in comic. Like nobody gives a shit about fucking superpowers, but that's probably why I was able to get this page, right? So because nobody liked it but me. But I mean, it means a lot to me. So I guess that's all that really matters.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, hey, like I always say, it's to each their own, man. Whatever you want to buy, it's your money. Buy it if you love it. That's all that matters. What matters is how you feel about it, and don't waste any time and energy worrying about the fact that other people may not like it. You know what I mean? Like collect for yourself.
I don't think I care. Like it cracks me up sometimes because then I hear people say that and I'm just kind of like, oh cool, I have garbage art in my calf. I'm like, way to
go. Oh, that's funny. Can't put a price on it. Awesome piece, says John. So yeah, there you go. And also a Carmine page, which is nice to have, that's for sure. Jewish Dragons loved the Superpowers toys. Carl cares about Superpowers, the toys more than the comics, though. But man, those toys.
I mean, I do have a full vintage collection of the whole toy line still, so that was something that was, I guess something on my bucket list that I was able to take care of. I mean, aside from the what is it? The Super Amigos Riddler, which I don't really count as part of that, but I mean, all the other ones I've gotten a nice little museum case. So, I mean, it's it is near and dear to me either which way. So
good. Well, then I'm glad. So you're happy I chose that one.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I think it's great. I mean, it's to me, like I think it's great, and it's interesting too because maybe a lot of people would point to the Kirby pages, right? Because at least you could say, oh look, here's some Kirby art or whatever. But like because I sort of grew up on the Infantino issues, because that third volume was the one I read off, like I read from like a quick stop, a 7-Eleven, the Union City Library. Like I mean, to me that's where I read all that stuff. So it's very the height of early comic nostalgia for me.
Yeah, you don't have to say anymore. We get it, man, for sure, totally. This is interesting. Antoine says, I thought it was like tire, because tire for tyrant. So tire, I thought of that too, because there's only those 3 ways that I could think of to pronounce it, but none of them sound really good.
I mean, even when I'm pretty sure I want to say that Legion cartoon says I don't know. Like I don't think it has the higher, but either which way, they all sound kind of funny to me because it never sounds like I think it should sound in my head. But whatever.
Yeah, that's cool. You got your Infantino pages. You love your page. You love it. That's it. That's all that matters. So That's it. Turd.
Turd and Mr. Freeze. It's going to be a new series on HBO Max.
Oh, man, that's funny. All right. Let's keep it rolling. And from there, we're going to go to only a few left, everybody. Less than a handful. We're going to go to Tom, you listening? You got Marvel and you got Independent and you put them both together and you got a crossover. That's what we got here, all right? So maybe you'll like half of this one. Check it out.
This is interesting. It's like I didn't know what to label it as really. I think I might have put it as other, but it's like an insert title page, where, or credits page or whatever.
Yeah, title, credits page. Yeah, that's good.
But this is I think one of my few Valiant examples. Like Exo Manowar was kind of like, what if Conan the Barbarian ran around in an Iron Man armor? And then eventually they did this whole, I guess, extravaganza thing. There were two comics. Like one was Exo Manowar Iron Man. The other one was Iron Man Exo Manowar. Marvel produced one. I think Valiant produced the other. And then they had this video game. So it's like, and I mean, let's be honest, the video game kind of sucked. But the concept of it was cool. And I do love team ups. The other thing that's interesting about this is, I guess this taught me to read the fine print, because and who knows, maybe this was a quote unquote bad buy or whatever. But I did put in a really high bid at Comic Connect. I think this was the same auction I put in that bid on the New Titans Brainiac page and had to walk away. And I did really want this, so I put in a high bid. I walked away. I came home. I had won it. And when I got it, I think I was expecting it to be at least 11 by 17, but it's about, I'd say like 8.5 by 11, because I did not read the fine print. And it doesn't ruin anything, but it's like one of those like learning curves or growing pains or whatever. Like you learn to like, oh, I should really, you know how you say like do your due diligence, do your research, like all that other stuff. Part of that is like reading the damn listing. So instead of just being wowed by the pretty scan or whatever it is, right? But yeah, I was wowed by the pretty scan. I like team ups, and this I think is super cool. I mean, if I can only have one Exo Manowar example and one Iron Man example in my calf gallery, I'm pretty happy with this. Like, this is a pretty cool set of images. So for sure.
Yeah. No, I like it. I like it. Now, I like the fact that it's the whole, standing with the arms crossed back to back in the same pose, but opposite directions like that, and to make it a nice composition. Yeah, I like it. So I thought it was a fun piece. That's why I wanted to show it.
Yeah,
and I figured I figured it was a piece that you wouldn't expect me to pick anyways as well. So that's why I picked it.
Yeah, I don't know what my expectations were, but I mean, I kind of figured maybe, you throw in some Marvel stuff, just for that element of balance. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe there's some advantage to the fact that this is an Iron Man armor that was kind of unique to the actual story, like, so maybe that gives it maybe to other people less desirability that would be, Iron Man focused. Like maybe they don't care that much about this particular one-off armor or whatever. But, I mean, in my case, I was more enticed by the whole team up aspect to it, and the whole multimedia tie-in blitz that went behind it. It was just something that I was fond of. So.
Yeah, for sure. John is asking, how long did it take for it to be delivered?
I don't think these were, I mean, I know some people have been waiting a while from the recent auction. I did not get anything from the recent auction. I will say the last couple of times I bought things, I picked them up in person from shows. So, and I don't think I did that with these, but I think it did take, a little while. Like it wasn't instantaneous, so.
Yeah. There you go, John. Hey, Mark, what's up? What's going on in Singapore? Just dropped in and fast forwarded. you mean rewound to your earlier pieces and love your taste in art. Look at that. That's a compliment.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Hello, my friend. Hello. Ooh la la. Ooh la la. What are you ooh la lying about for now?
I think he's ooh la lying about Iron Man because he's #1 Marvel fan, right?
Yeah, but that came after I already took the image off the screen.
Okay.
So
I don't know.
What's up with that, man? So 10-year-old in me wants to know who wins in a fight. You got to be 10 years old to talk about those types of conversations, I guess.
I am 10 years old. I used to that was my bread and butter. I used to go to the Wizard World message boards, and we would get into flame wars over who would kick whose ass in the fight. So I like doing that. I get it. I get where Jewish Dragons is coming from.
There you go. People can relate. Well, I could relate from a younger age. Now, as an adult, don't even don't waste my time with that. Yeah, Lee. He was certainly well known as an inker, especially over Bart Sears, right? Who was known for that comic.
Yeah, at the time, I think because Bart Sears did some of the issues of Iron Man, but then Andy Smith, or not Iron Man, I'm sorry, Bart Sears did some of the issues of Exo Manowar, and then Andy Smith continued on and did some other fill-in issues of Exo as well. And then when they did this, I guess, crossover or these series of one-shots, I think Tom Greinberg did the Iron Man led one, and Andy Smith did the Exo led one, because at that time Andy Smith was doing Exo, and I don't know why Tom Greinberg was selected, because I don't think he was doing anything with Iron Man, but I think that's how it broke down with those two specials or one shots or whatever.
Right. From Comic Connect, I've gotten things in a week and sometimes in a month, and sometimes I've had to pick up the phone and make an expedite the shipping.
I mean, that's
inconsistency. It sounds like you're saying.
Yeah.
Inconsistent shipping quality with them, I guess. Yeah. No Valiant. I was there during the start and the dark times of Valiant. Oh. Okay. Last Comic Connect auction it took 5 weeks for you. Okay. Wow. Long time.
Yeah. I was like, I agree, Lee. I think Exo is a cool character. I think he was probably my favorite Valiant character, which is probably why I'm happy to have an example.
I will say I didn't read much Valiant, but I read at the beginning Exo Manowar for a little bit. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I thought it was fun. Yeah, I really liked it. And Tom also had to call and email. Yeah, well, you would have to if it hasn't been shipped in 5 weeks, right? So if you hadn't called or emailed, it probably would have been longer than 5 weeks. So that's the thing. That's why prices go to die at Comic Connect. Oh man. 6 weeks just shipped, multiple emails for John. Nice.
Ouch.
Wow.
Ouch.
That's awful. All right. Let's keep rolling. We're almost wrapping up, everyone. And I think it's 3 pieces to go. Tom, I got you. I got you again. I got you here. I think this is your favorite piece of the night. I don't know. If this isn't, I don't know what you should never complain to me again. I'm trying hard here. All right. This is a really cool piece. So let us all take it all in and check it out.
This is from Mystic Wars, which was, I don't know, an attempt for Marvel UK to do their own version of, I guess, Infinity War or Infinity Gauntlet or something. You know, it was a big, mega, stupendous crossover with everybody and their brother. And then I think everybody and their brother gets like murdered in like the first like 3 pages or whatever it is. But, you know, of course, Captain America and Wolverine are sticking it out here, and they're fighting, Motormouth and Kill Power, which were, that was like one of those Marvel UK books that they were trying to promote at the time. So I guess it was twofold. It was like they were trying to promote their big line of new books. I guess, you know, it's early Bryan Hitch. I know a lot of people end up confusing it, thinking it's an Alan Davis page. Like I've shown it to friends of mine, and they go, "Oh, this is Alan Davis," and I go, "No, this is Bryan Hitch," and they go, "Oh, okay." But you know, I guess all I'd say is I'm rather fond of this era of Hitch's work, and I guess, you know, I think also just based on that whole trying to have some of that Marvel balance, I think this came up on a Dueling Dealers one night, and it seemed like nobody was interested in it, and I just thought to myself, wow, it's got Captain America and Wolverine, and his claws are out, and I don't know, maybe everybody had spent all their money at auctions on other stuff from before, but I thought to myself, well, and I think this was before I even got any of those Adventures of Superman annual pages that I love so much. So maybe I was kind of jonesing for anything that was remotely like that at the time. So you know, I made an offer and it was accepted, and I'm pleased I have this. Like I don't have very many pieces with Wolverine or Captain America, so I'm pleased to have this one.
Yeah, there you go. And yeah, I mean, you know, Cap ever since the Jim Lee X-Men 268 with Captain America, Wolverine, Black Widow on the cover, you know, Cap and Wolverine seem to be connected. People seem to love when they're both together. It reminds them of that. And yeah, and you get a cool panel on top and on bottom, bookending the page with the two characters. So what's not to like about that, you know? Yeah. And Lee says, "It's a nice piece, Derek. Congrats."
Thanks, Lee.
Yeah. It's worth what you paid for Okie Dokie alone. What? What?
He's talking about the text, the motor mouth and kill power. Kill power saying okie dokie in the second panel. So he's highlighting that as his favorite part of the entire page.
Yeah, okay. Nice one, John. You do buy pages for the weirdest reason, so I'll take that. All right. Second to last piece, everybody, here. And a couple of pieces. Actually, the second to last piece, second to last slide, I've doubled up. I wanted to cheat and show an extra page. I figured I had to. It was only right for tonight. Yes, Neary, solid run on Cap. But again, when he was inking, he did some nice inking over Hitch, but also over Davis. So he was always a great inker. He was a better inker than like most guys who worked mostly as inkers. He was a better inker overall than a penciler. But yeah, that's what it's all about. Buy what you love. Don't judge me. Definitely don't judge you, John. Yeah. So this next piece, doubled up for more than one reason. Actually, I doubled up because, well, this is near and dear to Derek's heart. And so it's a way to show two instead of one and still keep within the 20 slide kind of presentation. So yeah, as for which pieces I selected, I mean, look, there's so many great choices. I had to pick something, so I picked the stuff that I liked. So here we go. Let's check these out.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So you got the
Yeah, so this is just so you know, Derek. I figured, okay, the one on the right, page 41, I picked because I love, again, there's something about Superman and romantic scenes. I just like it. I like kissing scenes, romantic scenes. And I always really dug this one, you know, with the 4 pages in the middle, 4 panels in the middle and leading up to the first kiss. So that's why I chose that. I thought it was, you know, I love the hair and the line art is very whimsical. The one on the left, page 33, I chose because I figured, well, in case there's people who don't really know anything about Maxima, who she is, whatever, at least it's got one big panel to show what the costume looks like. And yeah, that's kind of why I chose that page, you know. It's well drawn anyways, but yeah, go ahead and say what you want to say about this.
I mean, I don't think everybody knows, but the people, a number of people in the chat are aware. You know, I am a Maxima focused collector, but this particular annual, I think, is what cemented my love of the character. I mean, it's an Elseworlds-ish story. You know what I mean? It's Armageddon 2001. This is a possible future of Superman that probably never comes to pass. But I mean, this was kind of him taking, I guess, the bad girl you see on the left page and kind of melting her heart on the right page, you know, and that's, I guess, that journey, you know, is what spoke to me the most about the entire story. I mean, it's a very well written story by Louise Simonson. The art from Hitch is something, you know, like I sort of explained before, this era of his work, you know, is what I'm most fond of, and I'm extremely fond of the character. I love Superman stories. I mean, with the exception of these, you know, 5-figure pieces that go to Heritage, you know, being like something like Alan Moore, you know, Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, or For the Man Who Has Everything. I mean, outside of those, I would say this is my personal favorite Superman story ever. And so anytime I would see a page from this, I would get excited and, you know, try to get it from, I bought one from Brit Comics. There was one that came up for auction at Comic Connect. And then there's kind of a long-winded history with it, but I did message Bryan Hitch, and he said, "Oh, I'm digging through some stuff in the attic. I definitely have pages from this." And you know, I'd say probably years later, because you know, there was some period of time where I never heard anything back. And then I decided to follow it up on it again, and then we arranged a deal. There were about 20-something pages that I got from him. A few more I found through Inkershare and various auctions. So I think now I have 26 pages of the 56-page annual. I guess it was always my goal, if I ever could, to complete the book, just because I love it that much. But even if I only have these 26 pages, I mean, that's probably more than anybody can hope for. Again, kind of like the Lady Shiva page, I feel a sense of accomplishment that you did pick the one on the right, because I think if I was in a world where, you know, I did not have the means to make Bryan an offer for all the pages, I think that single page would have been the one I went for, because that's the,
which one would have been the one you went for?
The second one, the kiss between Maxima and Superman. That first kiss, you know, it's you know, he's basically telling that gardener that you know, or at least he's telling Maxima, "Hey, look, we're making a bet. Like, if you ask the gardener nicely, you'll be surprised at how much effort they put into their work, and how much they'll be, you know, pleased to, you know, there's other ways other than being threatening or mean or angry to get what you want. You can ask nicely for things." And when he convinces her of that, you know, the whole bet was, if the gardener doesn't respond well, she'll give him a kiss, and if the gardener does respond well, she'll give him a ship to go back to Earth. And he wins the bet, but he kisses her anyway and says, "We both won." And it's just, you know, I don't know. There's just something about that sort of, you know, melts my heart, and is, you know, just, you know, a personal favorite moment of mine, even if it's, you know, an Elseworlds, even if it's, you know, a Superman that's maybe not in his traditional costume in some of these pages. I still love this story a lot. It's Superman in outer space, you know, like it's got a lot of earmarks of things that I'm super fond of, including my character focus, which is Maxima.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's wonderful. And yeah, I love the fact that not only that you have this love for this you know, sort of, to most people, obscure character, you know, and are so dedicated to sort of, you know, getting art with her on it. I love the fact that you know, you're a Superman fan too, so that's always a good thing for me. And yeah, and as far as this issue goes, the fact that you love this issue so much, and you've been so fortunate to be able to make that bigger score with Bryan himself, which I believe I misspelled his name here. Oh
yeah, without the Y.
Yeah. Sorry, Brian. That's what happens when you're up at 5 in the morning and haven't gone to sleep yet to make slides. Yeah, and the fact that he helped you, get so many pages, and that you are somewhere in that 50% range ish or so, right?
Yeah, ish. I mean, it's like I said, I think it's 26 of the 56, minus the cover, so it's like there's, I don't know. I sort of took stock in it, I don't know. I've tried what I can try, I think, like as far as inker share and uncovering rocks. So, I mean, if anybody knows anything, I'm interested, but I mean, I don't expect to hear very much. I mean, I tried to, push up as many rocks as I could, or kick up as much dirt as I could about it. I don't know. I found some interesting things about this annual that I would have never known had I not gone looking for the original art, and it's almost questioned what I think is real or not. But I don't know. It's interesting. But I love the annual. I love the character, and I guess I don't know if anybody has any interest in this, but for me, like Bryan Hitch is, maybe I'll speak to Marcus specifically along with the chat. Like Bryan Hitch is a top 5 Maxima artist, so let's just leave it at
that. Let's leave it at that. All right. So that brings us to the 20th and final piece of tonight's show and tell, everyone. And what can I say for this? I decided, I thought of putting these 2 Maxima pages from the Superman annual as the final pieces, since Derek loves Maxima so much, and he loves that annual so much. But I figured, okay, second to last spot is almost as good, as long as I put something that's also pretty meaningful. I don't know that this last piece is anywhere near as meaningful to Derek as his Maxima art. He'll tell us, I hope. But I know it's meaningful. Where it lands on the meaningful scale, he'll tell us. But it means a lot to me. And that's also part of the reason I wanted to make this one the last piece, So there you go. And before I show it, let me just quickly see. I saw some comments. Southern Comic Geek, what's up? Jason Richardson in the house. Bryan Hitch's oversized work is next level. And good to see you, by the way, Jason. And can't beat Jim Lee and Bob Kane Maxima at all. Yeah, of course. Those are the top number 1 and 2, right? They're tied for number 1, Let's leave it there. But yeah, let's check out the piece that I saved for the so-called showstopper, as you guys always call it. It's let's check it out. Here we go.
Well, this is a doozy, as they say, right? This is this is like the penultimate moment in Crisis too. I mean, it's one of the final fights with the Anti-Monitor. I mean, it's got Earth 2 Superman, Cal L with 1 L. It's got Superboy Prime. So there's, it definitely espouses what Crisis is, as opposed to maybe, there are a lot of pages in Crisis where you might look at it outright and see some Tamaranians and maybe the hints of a red sky, and it might not immediately scream Crisis to you. But this for sure, it's like, oh, we've got Superman, we've got the Anti-Monitor. Outside of that, I don't know what screams more Crisis than this. This was something that I don't think, I have to thank my family, because I couldn't have done this quite on my own. It was something that came up, and I guess I'll just say, I don't know if this is how Kazra normally uses the term, but he often will post things and say that it is in the Gambari collection. Okay. Let's just say this is in the Crabbe family collection, and leave it at that, right? But this is kind of maybe a once in a lifetime thing. Like I don't think I could stretch that much ever again.
Wow.
But when I saw this, I thought to myself, well, self, I don't think I'm going to have an opportunity to do anything like this ever again. I flew out to pick up this page. I did not have it shipped. I was not having it shipped. I sort of did backflips to make sure I could just do a handoff. Otherwise, I wasn't really going to go through with the deal. And when I sorted all that out and everything seemed to be, above board, I flew out to Shreveport and got on a plane. I jumped off at the airport. I picked up the page. I handed over a cashier's check. And then I got back on a plane and flew home.
Nice. Wow.
But yeah, I love Crisis. I mean, Crisis is the first and best DC mega event there ever was, ever will be, right? Like, so
yeah, for me,
I don't
for me, it is.
I mean, I guess this is probably the only page I can say, I mean, and I do believe this, right? That most people go after pages that, mean a lot to them. And if it doesn't mean anything to anybody else, so be it. It's your, it's your personal grail or something. It means something to you, but not to anybody else. It might very well be a grail to somebody, but it's certainly not a personal grail. Like, everybody knows what the story is. Everybody knows who, George Perez is. This was after, or I think shortly before George Perez had passed. I can't remember when I picked this up, but I mean, it was in that zone. I got a chance to meet George Perez, and I had him sign all my books and everything, but I wasn't really connecting or collecting original art back then. But just the fact that I can have something that's so definitively a moment from the Maxi series and something that ostensibly like changed the entire DC universe for good or ill. It's more historical than my nostalgia, let's say. Like, so, and I think that's one of the only pages I have that's like that. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than my nostalgia or my personal love. It's got a lot of meaning for more than just me, for a great many people. And I was very lucky to be able to be the caretaker, add it to my collection, So, I mean, as far as the actual contents of the page, I mean, without going into too much detail, I like that Earth 2 Superman is trying to take out the Anti-Monitor. I like that it's kind of like this end of a scary horror movie where like the horror guy comes up for one last scare. It's kind of the same thing with the Anti-Monitor. He's coming up for one last. I mean, he's got a couple false endings, the Anti-Monitor, in this. I think this is like 2 of 3, but still, it's right there at the penultimate end. It's very close to the end of the book. At that point, it's a double-sized spectacular. And I mean, like you said, I mean, we're both fond of Superman. I don't know if this would have lesser meaning to people that need it to be, Earth 1 Superman or whatever. But I mean, I'm perfectly happy with Earth 2 Kal-El with 1 L and Superboy Prime being there. I think it's fantastic. So,
yeah, no, it's wonderful. And so tell us though, just so we know, and are not left wondering, if it came down to this piece or, either of the 2 of these, or even any page from that annual, where on the scale of like, meaningfulness is the
I mean, I think it's
versus those.
Yeah, I think it's unfair to I mean, it's got to be the Crisis page because it means more than just to me. Like, does that make sense? It's historically relevant and important. Like, like the other pages mean a great deal, and they mean a great deal to me and maybe the people that worked on them and people whatever. But Crisis is bigger than all of that. So I think you ordered them correctly.
Okay, fair enough.
I think if you're ending with this with a bang, I mean, I think it's the right page to end on. I think it's probably the most I've ever paid for a piece of art. It's probably the most well received in terms of I don't know, comments and likes and social media interactions and everything, because it so many people knew what it was. So many people are familiar with Perez and his body of work, so I mean, I don't know what more to say about it than that. It's again, it's something that I mean, obviously Perez is not producing any more artwork, so I mean, and I mean, it's the ultimate DC crossover story. They were chasing that ever since, right? Like, so I mean, I don't know, like it's fantastic. I love it. Like,
Sean is asking, is the Crisis page the only piece of art that you've ever flown out to pick up?
No, I did it with a couple other pages that weren't featured on this, but I've done that before when I felt like the I don't know. I sometimes I feel like for certain things, it's interesting. The first time I did it, I didn't have much of a choice. This particular one I did by design. Like design, I asked. I said I want to go out and pick it up because I felt like it was a less risky proposition. But in other cases, I think some people were like, I will not ship you this art, but if you come to my store, I will sell it to you. And I went, all right, I'll go to your store.
Yes, he retired a few years before Antoine, before passing away. So that was it. But I guess another way, just to be clear, another way I could put it is like, let's say this stuff was still nothing more than production art that was a byproduct of the ultimate product, which is the comic book, and the comic book is the only thing anybody cares about. Okay, but this is just kind of a neat little byproduct, right? If it had no financial value whatsoever, and you could just occasionally find it, at a convention, people would give them out or whatever free, and you just happen to have, let's say, whatever your favorite page from the Superman annual is with Maxima, and this page, but you had to only keep one because somebody told you can only keep one of these. We need to make room in the house or whatever. Which one would it be? Would it still be the Crisis, or would it be your favorite Maxima page?
I mean, it'd be tough. I don't know. Like, I mean, I guess you're forcing me to choose. I mean,
no,
you're saying, it seems like you're taking like the historical and financial equation out of it. So like, I don't know.
Yeah, because then that's the only way we can. Because I don't care about the financial aspect, right? My question is only because I'm genuinely curious about what it means to you. In other words, sentimental, the meaning inside you, what the feelings that it makes, that it evokes.
Those two pages, I'm going to give you a political fake answer. Those two pages have equal meaning to me for different reasons. The Maxima page is a sentimental page about love overcoming class and structure and the way people were raised, and treated other people.
Yeah.
That's what that's about. That's like love overcoming conditioning and hatred and all that other stuff. And that means a lot to me, but that's very different from the ostensibly the climactic scene in a big giant summer blockbuster crossover mega event where the character I love most in that universe is about to whoop major ass on the most evil thing that's ever walked the face of the universe. They're two totally separate things that still make me like, both are passionate. You know what I mean? Like I can't, but for different reasons.
Look at these guys. Choose that. No, listen. Listen, I got my answer. To me, the fact that you couldn't answer because it was too difficult, that's the answer. To me, that means, because, that's happened to me when I had, you tell me, hey, do you like this one or this one better in your collection? And I'm sometimes like, just like you, oh my God, I'd have to think for a long time, which means I love them equally. It could be for obviously different reasons, but that means I probably have as much love for one as I do the other. So that's your answer. To me, that's my answer that I get out of it. So it's cool. Yeah, you don't have to choose. I mean, it goes to show me that it's because I was expecting one might be like up here and the other one might be like close, but not quite. But your reaction tells me it's pretty much it's here, right? Like which is a good answer.
I mean, when you're distilling it to that, just to pure emotional value, which I might argue with you of what the value of that is, but right. If you're talking about what emotion it evokes from me, they're both strong, but to me for completely different reasons.
Yeah, there you go. Ruben the Inquisitor, exactly. Inquiring minds want to know. Only the TNG Deep Space Nine DPS hangs in the ready room. I'd go for the kiss, says Marcus. Nah, you know that. I know you'd be going for the Crisis for sure. So Crisis page. You can find another Crisis page from that. It's not about that. It's not about whether you can find replacement. It's just
but he brings up a good point. Like that's probably of the 2 pages. There's 2 pages in that annual where Superman kisses Maxima, and that's because it's an Elseworld story. There's probably no other pages in all of DC Comics where Superman kisses Maxima. So Marcus has a fair point.
Yeah, but again, I don't want to look at it that way. I'm looking at it in more of that hypothetical scenario where, you only had 2 pages in your collection. It was one of the, each one of those. And, somebody was telling you, oh, there's no room for this. We can only keep one and that's it. But that's why I'm saying. So in that scenario, there is no hobby. Like I said, there's no hobby. He's thinking of it in terms of the hobby. Remember what I said? I was saying, think of it in terms of like, hey, this stuff has no value. It's stuff that you rarely see, but once in a while you might go to a Comic Con and somebody has one and they'll give it to you because it's like a poster, a worthless poster in black and white to them, that kind of thing. So in that scenario, there is no bunch of extra ones you can replace it with. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. John is curious about which one do you find yourself looking at more, or would you even notice that you looked at one more than the other?
The technical answer is the Adventures of Superman annual, but that's only because I've owned it longer than I've owned the Crisis page. So I don't know if that's another non-answer, but factually, it's the Adventures of Superman annual because I've owned those pages longer than I've owned the Crisis page.
Yeah, no, and Tom makes a good point, right? Like even when you're hypothetically asking a question in the mind, because that it's just hypothetical, the reality is the value is still there. So that's that. And so I know that in the back of your mind, you may still be thinking that, well, it's got this value. I can. The market is existing and you can find pages like this or that, to replace if you part with one piece, all that stuff. So I get that, obviously. Again, that's why I don't care if you can't come up with an actual choice, Like I said, to me, you made the choice. The choice was, to me, it seemed equal. That's what I'm going to take as that they're both very meaningful for different reasons, So one has an intellectual investment, one has an emotional investment. Ruben has also writes questions for congressional committees. Maybe I should. I don't, but maybe I should. Crisis on Infinite Evaluation.
I don't know. He didn't get me to answer, Peter, so maybe he wouldn't be so good at that. He didn't get me to pick one, so.
I'd be a nice guy in Congress. I'd be one of the nice guys. I'm not forcing you to, put you in an uncomfortable spot, I'd be free of this. If only had 2 pages, I'd be free of this addiction. Well, I guess everybody can say that, though, right? Crisis of Conscience. I like that. Nice one. Boo him. Boo this man. But maybe we can strap Derek to an EEG and monitor his response as we show him the art images. If you can pull one out, Antoine, let's try it. Why not? Ship it on to his house. Yeah. I'd flip both for the Robin 1 cover. You're funny. You are funny. I wouldn't actually. I'm not a big Robin guy. I'll tell you, I have one Robin cover. It's my only Robin piece of Grummett art, believe it or not. I don't even have interior pages. I'm just one cover. And for the right Titans cover, I would trade my Robin cover. But I like Superboy. Yeah, I was always bigger on Superboy than Robin, Marcus.
Would you trade the Robin cover for more Superboy? Is that like a no-brainer?
I already no. But because it.
I mean, I get why you would do it for Titans. Like, it makes sense to me, but I was just curious.
Yeah, it depends. For to trade for another Superboy cover is a little more difficult for two reasons. Number one, I already have quite a few Superboy covers.
Oh, okay, you already scratched that.
Right,
okay.
Exactly. I have far more Superboy covers, in other words, than I do New Titans. You know, so I'd rather get another Titans cover. And in Superboy, not only because I have plenty, but also because it would have to be one of my favorite Superboys. And then, I would do it if I could get one of my favorite ones or whatever. But otherwise, no, not just for any random, Superboy cover. So,
okay.
Super high values tend to make me feel less attached. I agree with that. Yeah, we've talked about that before on our shows in the past. The more expensive it gets.
I'm still waiting until you feel unattached, Carl.
Yeah. Caesar hasn't taken it out of the box yet. You know that, Rick. Exactly. He's super unattached compared to all of us. Where's the Powerpuff art you mentioned earlier? He mentioned it. I don't know. Somebody mentioned it. It wasn't me. The tight green underwear in your top drawer speak otherwise. Nice. How many Newtons equal a Crisis or Maximus Super Kiss page? Oh, I guess a lot, Peter. I don't know. People would say a lot. Value-wise, I suppose, maybe. I love it. Flip the script there. Make him choose. He's good at that. By the way, everybody, I just want to quickly ask you guys. I know we've run long, and we got to wrap this up now. But I was talking to again. We mentioned Dan earlier, and I was talking to him yesterday. Hey, Dan, if you're listening, he sometimes watches on Rewind. And he wanted me to do this at the beginning, but whatever. He wanted me to ask you guys in the chat, because some of you know, some of you may not know. We alluded to it earlier, but Derek has quite the knowledge base for comics from the time he started reading onwards, especially. And he suggested that I ask you guys to test him out and see if you think you can stump him. So let's call it, I don't know.
I'm sure I can be stumped.
No, but 1988, let's just call it 1988 onwards. And let's stick to DC if you win, since that's his kind of favorite. If you have a question, see if you can stump him. And,
Thank you,
and
thank you.
Throw it out and see if you can stump him. That's what this was a suggestion by Dan. I thought, okay, let's give it a shot. See if you can stump him if you want. You don't have to, but if you want, try, because he's really good with he's always dropping the knowledge. You guys have seen he drops in sometimes in the middle of the show, and it's like when we're talking about something that we're like, I'm not sure, nobody knows, I don't know, like if anybody knows, let us know. And here comes Derek with the answer, which is pretty cool. So it just goes to show how much he does know. But nobody popping the questions. So there you go. What can I say, Dan? It's kind of like on the spot. It's difficult to come up with a good question on the spot to try to stump somebody. So hold on. Kudos. So kudos to you, Derek, for not taking a potty break.
Number one Marvel fan stumped me. I don't know. It's some issue of Action Comics.
There you go. And he's right. You're right.
Now everybody can go home, guys.
12 hours of shows today. Didn't get any shit done today. First the questions, now the tests. First appearance. What is the atomic number of the Ant-Man hole? Okay, who is the Batman Superman team up drawn by Art Adams? Yeah, you know that one?
Isn't that just Art Adams?
The thing.
Oh, is it Dick Giordano? I think maybe
Dick Giordano, I think. But
Yeah.
I think it's more about like in terms of his knowledge is more about like the universe, like in other questions about the storylines and the characters, that kind of knowledge.
You can 100% stump me on inkers and letterers and
Yeah. Not credits and stuff like that. Like we're talking about the storylines and things that have happened in the universe, questions about the characters, that kind of thing is what I'm talking about. His knowledge base is pretty deep on that. How much wood would a Maxima chuck if a Maxima could chuck wood? I don't know.
She has people to do that for her, Marcus. She's the queen of Almanac.
What ad was on page 10 inside Superman 600? What? Okay, you guys, come on, man. What is Maxima's cup size?
Oh, he's saying it was Terry Austin.
It was Terry Austin. Oh, interesting. I don't remember that. Okay. Burn wrote. Okay. Derek, which Green Lantern Liam Sharp Grant Morrison comic issue dropped most of the word balloons and was almost poetic throughout?
I bulk read all of those. I don't even know if that was in season 1 or season 2.
Yeah, that's not really what I'm talking about, though, Ian. You know, that's still kind of like.
No. These people have stumped me like 7 times. So the answer is to Dan. Can people stump me? Yes, absolutely.
There you go, Dan. He can be stumped. That's funny. Guys, I just also wanted to remind you, I should have said at the beginning of the show when I welcomed you all, I wanted to thank you again for last week's episode. Not only was it really super, super fun, had a great time. It's the video is performing better than like most of my videos. Last I checked, it was at 560 views. Keep in mind, on a subscriber base of only 604. So that's 92.7% ratio. So super, super strong. I thank you so much for that. We all had such a fun time. And yeah, man, don't forget to, we're going to close this out now, but I wanted to remind you, don't forget to tune in next week where we do part 2 of what we did last week. And yeah, as you guys keep accusing me of, keep destroying the value of Don Newton and Alcala Batman work, I guess.
You guys got in my head last week. I keep thinking about which one of my buys. I looked through all my art like before we did the show because I wanted to just look at it for reals, like not on digital scans or whatever. And as I was going through it, I was like, oh yeah, that came from that, and I remember this. But then also in the back of my head, was this a good buy or a bad buy? And like sometimes I'd come across shit and I'd be like, oh, that was the one I didn't do any research on. And I paid like way more than it went for at auction like a week ago or something. And I was like, I guess that's a bad buy. And then some of them I was like, oh, I bet you this one's a good buy because I skipped on it like with 2 or 3 auctions. And then I struck when it was like super low and no one bid on it. So I guess that was a good buy. I don't know. But anyway.
That's funny. All buys are good. Not always, but if you love it, then it's good. Yeah. I put them on CAF Live and tested Ruben's data. Did you? Did you sell them? Probably not. We can join live from OAX. Oh, yeah, that's good. That would be a crazy show. How would you join live from OAX? Oh, I guess you could if I sent you the link or whatever. But yeah, it wouldn't work so good if you're all drunk at a bar.
That would presume like somebody was running around either joining on their phone or something. I guess that's what you have to do, right?
Somebody would have to be kind of charged of that. It doesn't work so good. I think Tom, I might do what I did for the last one, which was, I invite 2 or 3 of you who were there. To come on and let's talk about the weekend and you can all tell us how it was. So yeah, I planned on doing something like that anyways, but yeah, live, I'm not so sure I would want to do it with people live. It's gonna be a bit crazy. But people who may already be home by Sunday night, maybe they left early Sunday morning or early afternoon. And if you're willing to do it, we'll do something for that weekend for sure. Thank you, Derek, for sharing your excellent collection and recollections. Great show as always, Ruben. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you for watching, Peter, and thanks to everybody who was watching and chatting and everything like that. I appreciate it.
Yes, I could just go to OAX and then do the show live. Yeah, that would be a nightmare. We can all come in for a bit. Yeah, I don't know, but that's the thing. Then what do I do for the rest of the show? You know, the show would be over by 8 p.m. when it starts. Exactly. Anyone not going, I'll be working again. Great show and tell, guys. Thank you, Rick. I appreciate it. Thanks for all the support as always. Fun show, guys. Beautiful collection, Derek.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Tom. Stanley, we will not go another hour. But thanks for trying as always. Thanks, Ruben and Derek. Great show. Thank you, Lee. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Lee.
As always. Yeah, so we will leave you with the as always, the thumbnail for next week. Matt will be back with me, and he said he'd get me a photo, and he didn't. So I guess I'm going with only my photo. Thank you, Carl. Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Yeah, have fun catching the beginning of it. And you too, John. Thank you. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, so let me... Oh, cheers to you, Antoine. Thank you. Nice to meet you, Derek Crabbe.
Nice to meet you, Antoine.
Thank you, man. Sing us out, Derek. Glad to see your collection with commentary. Yes, yes. Work on your descriptions, people. Thank you, Ian. Appreciate it. Yeah, let me put this out. And yeah, so there you go. Comic Art Show and Tell number 61. So that's the second of the two-part episode co-hosted with Matt Kennedy for next week. Just FYI, everybody, this was originally supposed to be a one-episode show. Scheduled for next week, right? Originally, it was supposed to be next week was supposed to be the one show. But when Nick had to cancel again and reschedule his show, at the last minute, right? So I had to scramble. So I asked Matt, hey, can we push up the show? Are you available if we push it up to from 3 days from now? And he said, yes. I was like, okay, so thanks to you, Matt. We took care of that, and it worked out awesomely. One of the best shows ever. But I also that meant that we were leaving next week's show empty. So I said to Matt, "Hey, by the way, I ended up pulling 30 different examples of art that I saw sell for less the second time around. So I got enough for 2 episodes. Would you still want to keep that schedule of the 24th, and we just do 2 episodes?" And he was kind enough to say, yeah. And so that's why we're doing it. That's the reason why it became a 2-part episode. But just so you know, before I knew that it would become 2 episodes, I thought it was going to be only the one. And so for last week's show, I chose the kind of what I thought were the best examples. So just so you guys know, next week, the percentage losses, you're not going to see shocking things with ginormous losses and whatever. It's kind of a lot of the examples, I believe, are lower priced art, whatever. Anyways, just so you know, it's not as great art content, I think. I picked the coolest pieces, I think, for the first show because I thought it might be the only one. But anyways, it's going to be fun. It was super fun last week, as you guys know. We all had a great time. So tune in for that. Let me get that back up there. There you go. Thank you, Sean. Thank you. Need I say it? Above average job. Thank you. You don't need to say it, but I do appreciate that. Thank you. And yeah, art is up, Marcus. Art is down. Derek, where is that thing sculpture? I saw Chris Snorick sitting next to that also.
Marvel, #1 Marvel fan answered him. It was that
the Marvel
art exhibit. That was when we were doing it was in Charlotte that year that I took the photo. So we went to that I went to it the day after Heroes. So we went Monday morning.
Okay. Cool. And there you go. Slightly Sean, don't let him get a big head. Don't worry, I never have a big head. You guys always keep me down to earth. So but thanks again, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks again. Don't forget to check out Nikki B's show on Friday as usual. And meet us back here for the comic art you can't lose. Yes, you can. Episode number 2 next week at the usual time, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. All right, guys. Have a great week. And we'll catch you next week. Thank you, Derek. And stick around for a sec, will you?
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah. Night. Good night to you, Ian. Thank you. Good night, everybody, and go blue.